Chapter 288. What are you looking at? Man Gon coldly shouted. Wu Hei, who had just looked at Qin Yu's group, was shocked to the point his heart jumped. Currently, those two groups of people could already be considered to have converged into one group. However, while they were hurrying along their journey, the Dragon Clan, Loose Devils, and Loose Immortals, the three groups of people could not help but lean together. Meanwhile, the chaotic astral ocean, wilderness, as well as Qin Yu's group also could not help but lean together. They formed two small groups. The small group led by the Dragon Clan had a total of 13 people. They were divided into 5 people from the Dragon Clan, 5 people from the Loose Immortals, and 3 people from the Loose Devils. Originally, the Loose Devils had 4 people, but Dame Lien Yu had died. Qin Yu's small group had a total of 9 people. They did not speak along the way. Meanwhile, Qin Yu was completely immersed in his cultivation and hurrying along his journey. Within Qin Yu's Dantian, almost 95% of that green planet's interior had already turned into the sun's true nucleus. It could be said that the entire green planet's surface was green, while its interior was a large fireball. Meanwhile, the large fireball's volume was currently slowly increasing. The amount of energy consumed during the transformation of power was extremely shocking. However, the elemental life force within Qin Yu's body could replenish all of the energy consumed in the blink of an eye. On that day, the two small groups, a total of 22 people, quietly advanced. As they advanced further, the density of the wind blades between heaven and earth became greater and greater, and the frequency of spatial cracks appearing also increased. Everyone was also forced to pay close attention to everything. Every single person took out their own methods to avoid all kinds of dangers. That blazing astral domain on Qin Yu's surface caused Qin Yu's entire person to emit golden light. Suddenly, the astral domain on Qin Yu's surface greatly expanded, and the diameter of that astral domain actually increased by 2 to 3 times in an instant. The degree of blazing also increased by a lot. That caused quite a number of people who were hurrying along their journey to involuntarily glance at Qin Yu. Congratulations to brother Qin Yu for having a breakthrough in your power, said Man Gon with a laugh. Zhongju also smiled and nodded. Qin Yu's face also had a trace of joy. Currently, within Qin Yu's Dantian, a huge fireball was floating. It was like a sun, and waves of blazing energy were spiraling within his Dantian. Without the obstruction of the green planet, the energy of the sun's core was incomparably pure. The power of the sun core had increased by a few times in an instant. Qin Yu believed that with his current power, once he used the Lord of Dark Flame's ring, the power of the two fields would increase by a lot. Hangzhou, Master hasn't reached the stellar stage, but I have. Qin Yu was a little disappointed for a moment. The stellar transformations had 6 stages, and the last stage was the star stage. I finally reached the stellar stage, but it also means that from now on, the experience Master left me is no longer useful. In the future, I will have to rely on myself to make breakthroughs in my martial arts and realms. Qin Yu did not know whether he should be happy or worried. The following realms were created by oneself. Creating a martial art made Qin Yu excited, but once the creation failed and he took the wrong path, it was very possible that his soul would scatter. Big brother, you've broken through? Kuro looked at Qin Yu, and Ho Fei also looked at Qin Yu. Others did not know about the disadvantages of the stellar transformations martial art, but Qin Yu's 2 closest brothers knew. The stellar transformations martial art was an incomplete martial art. Because it was a martial art created by the evolution of the universe, it was completely different from other martial arts, and it could not be changed to other martial arts. Fei Xiaohei, don't worry, said Qin Yu with a faint smile. Xiaohei, be careful. All of a sudden, Qin Yu sees a wisp of wind coming at Heiyu. Heiyu dodges it effortlessly like a piece of cotton. Big brother, the transformation of the energy in my and Monkey's body is almost complete. Who knows when we might ascend? It could be half a year, or even 3 years. It's hard to say, Kuro said helplessly. Qin Yu was startled. Besides his parents and Li Er, Qin Yu's closest kin were these 2 brothers. And Xiao Hei was especially close to him. When he was young, he did not have a father or a mother to take care of him. He would often carry Xiao Hei alone at the peak of Donglan Mountain, watching the stars at night. A lonely child, a lonely black eagle. In the blink of an eye, their cultivation had reached the peak of the mortal world. Ascension forced them to separate. Xiao Hei and Fei were going to the demon world, but he was facing the problem of creating a new cultivation technique. Furthermore, it was hard to imagine where he would ascend to. Xiao Hei, Fei, don't worry. I will definitely succeed in creating a new cultivation technique. When I ascend, I will definitely look for you. Qin Yu said firmly with his spiritual awareness, and not only will I look for you, I will also look for Li Er. So, I will not fail. And big brother, you will not fail. Ho Fei and Kuro said the same. However, whether it was Qin Yu, Ho Fei, or Xiao Hei, they all knew that what they were saying was just to comfort themselves. Whether they could create a new cultivation technique or not, it was not something that could be determined by words. Puchi. Xiao Hei's shoulder was sliced off by a gust of wind blade. All right, let's focus on our journey, Qin Yu said hurriedly. The three brothers did not speak anymore, but quietly hurried on their journey. However, the three brothers could not help but fly side by side. The three of them enjoyed the three brothers' last moments together in the mortal world. One elegantly dodged, the other dodged. Occasionally, the brothers would smile, or the humorous expression after being injured by a gust of wind blade. Stepping into the last 100 million miles of the journey, it had already been close to 3 years. Logically, everyone should have reached the abyss of death. However, they still had not seen the abyss of death, so they could only continue forward. However, the situation on the road showed that this place was definitely very close to the abyss of death. Because the gust of wind blade was getting denser, the frequency of spatial cracks was increasing. Dodge. There were too many gusts of wind blade. Other than Zhongju, Kuro, Hua Yan, and Yu Liang who could barely dodge, the others could not dodge at all. They could only use various methods to block. Looking at Kuro, who was constantly drifting up and down like a phantom, Qin Yu was very relieved. Xiao Hei's movement technique is exceptional. The degree of toughness of my body is already comparable to that of a low-grade immortal equipment. Ordinary weak gust of wind blade cannot hurt me. Even if strong gust of wind blade injures me, it will be healed by my life force. Now, only Ho Fei is in a bit of danger. Qin Yu diverted his attention to Ho Fei. At this moment, Ho Fei was holding a black stick. Through the flow of water emitted from his body, as well as the careful observation of his fiery eyes, Ho Fei could detect danger in advance. While dodging, he would directly use the black stick to push the unavoidable gust of wind blade to the other side. Ho Fei's stick technique was very exquisite. Qin Yu did not think that the always strong and firm Ho Fei would actually use such a fleeting stick technique. The black stick was gently pushed, and the direction of the gust of wind blade actually changed. Looks like Fei is also not in much danger. Fei and Xiao Hei also have a bottle of eternal creation pills. I believe that there will not be much danger. Qin Yu's heart was slightly relieved. If Xiao Hei and Fei were really in danger, Qin Yu would directly keep Xiao Hei and Fei into the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Even if that would make others suspicious, Qin Yu would also not care. Haha, we are about to reach the abyss of death. Man Gon's loud laughter sounded. Instantly, everyone looked towards the distance. It was just that the distance was still a boundless world of ice, and nothing could be seen. However, when Qin Yu and the others flew for 1,000 li, they finally could not help but be amazed at the power of Man Gon's purple eyes. In the distance, unknown how many tens of thousands of li away, that purple flame that reached the heavens continuously rose. That scene made everyone tremble. Purple flame. Wasn't that heaven fire? Moreover, it was an endless amount of purple heaven fire that filled the sky. That is the flame of the Land of Extreme Peril's domain of flame. Although the Land of Extreme Peril's domain of chill is slightly more dangerous, most of the cold energy is condensed within this piece of ice. The attacking power of the cold energy outside is not great, but the Land of Extreme Peril's domain of flame is different. Those flames are basically burning in every space, and cannot be avoided, Zhongju said with a smile. Qin Yu and the others understood in their hearts. No wonder Zhongju had chosen to walk through the land of extreme peril's domain of chill, and not the land of extreme peril's domain of flame. Everyone knew that they were close to the abyss of death. That was because the abyss of death was between the land of extreme peril's domain of chill and the land of extreme peril's domain of flame. Instantly, everyone was filled with enthusiasm, and their speed actually increased once again. Everyone quickly advanced forward, and everyone could sense that they were close to Ni Yang's realm. Times, is this the abyss of death? Ho Fei looked at the scene in front of him, and could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Qin Yu, Kuro and the others, including Man Gong and the other emissaries from the higher realm, all had faces filled with shock. The length of the abyss of death could not be seen at a glance, and its width was also several thousand li. The abyss of death was unfathomable, and at the same time, countless wind blades shot out from within the abyss of death. At the same time, there were also eruptions of purple heaven fire, and jade-green cold air that continuously spread out. The abyss of death was simply like hell. Why would such wonderful places like the land of extreme peril's domain of chill and the land of extreme peril's domain of flame be produced? Why would such a strange wind be produced? Qin Yu looked at everything in front of him, and his heart more or less understood. Those wind blades were produced because of the extremely cold and hot air currents. These winds are actually two polar whirlwinds. No wonder they have such power. The land of extreme peril's domain of chill and the land of extreme peril's domain of flame, one is extremely cold, while the other is extremely hot. However, the source of this extreme cold and extreme heat should be within this abyss of death, Sword Immortal Hua Yan said with a smile. Everyone agreed. That was because everyone saw countless wind blades shooting out from within the abyss of death. Those wind blades were ridiculously powerful, and cracks in space continuously appeared. There is blue heavenly fire within the heaven fire. Du Zhongjun's face changed. Man Gong, Hua Yan, Ao Feng and the others looked carefully, and their faces also changed greatly. Indeed, within the endless heaven fire that emerged from the abyss of death, there were blue-colored flames that were like flowers. Those blue-colored flames were extremely few. Although the power of the heaven fire was great, it did not pose a threat to Man Gong and the others. Blue heavenly fire, that was different. Even golden immortals, demon kings, devil kings, would not dare to easily touch the blue heavenly fire. Not only is there blue heavenly fire, look over there. That is the jade smoke cold air that is equally famous as the heaven fire. However, within the jade smoke cold air, there is also an extremely small amount of weeping gold cold air. The power of that weeping gold cold air is definitely not inferior to the blue heavenly fire, Man Gong said in a low voice. Forcefully barging in, looking at the cracks in space that frequently appeared, and the mysterious blue heavenly fire that was mixed within the heaven fire, and the weeping gold cold air that was mixed within the jade smoke cold air. All of that explained that forcefully barging in would definitely die. Ni Yang's realm is within the abyss of death. Looking at the environment, to safely reach Ni Yang's realm. If we directly go down like this, we will definitely die. We can only rely on the map to travel. Hua Yan looked at Qin Yu's group of people, and said, although you all said that you have a map, the last part of the map to enter the abyss of death is the most important. That is why it is best that you all do not follow us. Man Gong, Zhongju and the others instantly frowned. It was very obvious that Hua Yan and the others still doubted the authenticity of Qin Yu's map. Follow you all? Senior Hua Yan is really looking down on us too much. Senior Hua Yan, Senior Ao Feng, the people on our side will set off first. This should be fine, right? Qin Yu said with a faint smile, and immediately walked towards the left direction. Man Gong and Zhongju both gave a cold snort, and immediately brought their own people and followed behind Qin Yu as they walked towards the left direction. In only a short moment, Qin Yu's small group of 9 people entered the abyss of death. Over there. Why is the direction that our map is pointing towards here? Hua Yan, Ao Feng, Du Zhongjun, Feng Tian and the others looked at each other in shock. The path that their map showed was completely different from that of Qin Yu's. Humph, I reckon that Qin Yu did not know where he got the wrong map. Our map was formed by the gathering of 3 sundering the heavens diagrams. When it was first formed, everyone was present. It is definitely not wrong. It is best if that man gone dies because of that wrong path. Du Zhongjun said with a cold smile, and immediately took the lead to advance towards the right direction. Ao Feng, Hua Yan and the others also followed. Since then, the 2 small groups followed their own maps, and entered the abyss of death from 2 different directions. Haha, Qin Yu, this path of yours is really safe. Follow this path and walk. Outside, there are layers of flames, endless wind blades, and cold air all over the sky. However, we are not the least bit harmed. Man Gon said with a loud laugh. Qin Yu's group of 9 people followed their own path, and directly went deep into the abyss of death, continuously flying downwards at an extremely fast speed. However, there was actually not the slightest bit of damage along the way. According to the map, when we see this pillar, we should advance towards the right. However, there are endless wind blades on the right side. Qin Yu stopped beside a pillar in midair. When Man Gon and the others behind saw that Qin Yu had stopped, they also stopped one by one. These wind blades also did not form spatial cracks. Even if we are hit, with the origin life energy, we will not die. Qin Yu gritted his teeth, and took a step forward. Big brother. Ho Fei and Kuro instantly cried out in shock. The expressions of Man Gon, Zhongju and the others also changed. Haha, this is an illusion. Everyone, just enter. Qin Yu's laughter spread out. Ho Fei and Kuro breathed a sigh of relief, and then took the lead to follow in. The others also followed in. Advancing according to Qin Yu's map, they were frightened by some illusions along the way, but in reality, not a single person suffered any injuries. Just like that, they flew downwards for an entire 3 days, and covered at least a distance of 1 million kilometers. A spacious piece of land appeared in front of Qin Yu's group. The spacious piece of land could not be seen at a glance. On this boundless spacious piece of land, there were only 3 towering stone pillars. These stone pillars were carved with a word, respectively, reverse, central, and realm. Chapter 289. Silence. The entire world was silent, so silent that it was frightening. Qin Yu, Man Gon, Zhongju and the others did not have the slightest bit of surprise on their faces. Instead, they were cautious, and every single one of them was carefully observing their surroundings. In this vast and boundless land, there were no flowers, grass, or rocks, and only endless yellow soil. On this endless yellow soil, there were only those 3 stone pillars that towered into the clouds. The 3 large words Night, Yang, and Realm gave people endless pressure. Brother Qin Yu, you said that this is Ni Yang's realm? The Ni Yang's realm that hides countless treasures? Zhongju spoke out, and at the same time, that pair of eyes carefully scanned the surroundings. There is nothing here, and it does not look like a place that hides countless treasures. It was just that Zhongju's voice made everyone jump in shock. Because it was too quiet just now, the sudden voice was really frightening enough. Haha. Zhongju. Man Gon suddenly laughed loudly. I think we are all overly nervous. Do you still remember that in order to enter Ni Yang's realm, one must rely on the Sundering the Heavens Sword aura? Meanwhile, we did not use the Sundering the Heavens Sword aura, so we are still outside of Ni Yang's realm. Qin Yu and the others all woke up. Brother Qin Yu, you were also shocked by that enormous aura just now? Man Gon said with a smile. Qin Yu nodded embarrassedly, and said, I was really shocked just now. When I saw those 3 large words Yang and Realm, I really thought that we had arrived at Ni Yang's realm. Only now did I remember that in order to enter Ni Yang's realm, one must rely on the Sundering the Heavens Sword aura. That is why we should still be outside of Ni Yang's realm now. Being shocked is also normal. I was also shocked just now, Man Gon said with a chuckle. The boundless land, the 3 solitary stone pillars, and the three large words carried an imposing pressure. It was really able to shock people. Qin Yu carefully looked at the three stone pillars, and nodded, and said, "I think we should be outside of Ni Yang's realm now. I estimate that as long as the Sundering the Heavens sword aura enveloped us, we should be able to enter the interior of Ni Yang's realm." Man Gong, Zhong Ju and the others also looked around, and finally nodded. This was because everyone had realized that there was no way forward. Furthermore, the endpoint of the map that Qin Yu obtained from the Lord of Black Flame's ring that led to Ni Yang's realm was right here. Big brother, where are the dragons, loose devils, and loose immortals? Why haven't they appeared yet? Could it be that their map is fake? Ho Fei suddenly said. Everyone, including Qin Yu, was stunned, but then they all remembered the group of people from the Dragon Clan. Qin Yu's group and the Dragon Clan's group parted ways outside the Abyss of Death. Logically speaking, the Dragon Clan's group should have arrived here by now. Our map is real, and theirs is fake. Is there even a need to explain such a simple logic? The petrified beast, Stony, said with a smile. I really hope that this group of people will all die in the Abyss of Death. Zhong Ju frowned. I don't think these two maps are fake. Their maps were obtained from the three heaven-sundering diagrams, so they shouldn't be fake. Zhong Ju's tone was somewhat certain. Qin Yu also nodded his head in agreement. Don't bother about whether that group of people is dead or alive. Brother Qin Yu, the faster we enter Ni Yang's realm, the more benefits it will bring to us. Quickly use the heaven-sundering sword aura, and bring us into Ni Yang's realm. Man Gong reminded. The others also looked towards Qin Yu. They were really anxious enough. Qin Yu felt helpless in his heart, and nodded, saying, Since everyone wants to enter immediately, fine. I will display the heaven-sundering sword aura now. Everyone, get closer first. With me as the center, form a circle. Qin Yu began to issue commands. Instantly, Man Gong, Qin Yu, Yu Liang, Kong Chao, Zhong Ju, Stony, Petrified, as well as Ho Fei and Kuro, all surrounded Qin Yu. Qin Yu's spiritual awareness entered the Lord of Black Flame's ring, and prepared to activate the heaven-sundering sword aura within the Lord of Black Flame's ring. Meanwhile, at that moment, almost everyone instantly looked towards the right. The sound of footsteps could only be heard from the right. Ha, we are finally safe. Who? A loud roar sounded, and the first to rush out was actually the large Wu Hei from the side of the loose devils. In just a short moment, Ao Feng, Fong Tian, Du Zhongjun, Hua Yan, Reverend Lan Bing, Reverend Ming Shan, Ao Su. One by one, experts appeared in front of everyone with dejected faces. At that moment, almost all of those 13 people looked terrible. Fresh blood, wounds, torn clothes, dirty faces. Just like a group of beggars. Only Ao Feng, Du Zhongjun and a few other experts looked slightly better. I say, Brother Ao Feng, Brother Hua Yan, what happened to you all? Man Gong had a shocked look. Didn't you all take the very correct path? Our people are all safe and sound. How did you all end up in such a sorry state? Ao Feng, Fong Tian, Du Zhongjun, Hua Yan and the others looked towards Qin Yu's group, and their eyes could not help but reveal disbelief. They were able to rush to that place, and naturally believed that their own map was real, and also believed that Qin Yu's map was fake. Who would have thought that Qin Yu's group would arrive before them, and also be safe and sound? Zhong Ju smiled and said, Very obviously, both maps are real. It's just that our map is much safer, while your map is much more dangerous. Looking at your people, it's good that none of you died after coming down from the Abyss of Death. Ao Feng, Hua Yan, Du Zhongjun and the rest of the group used the energy within their bodies to tidy up their appearance. They even used their energy to form a new set of clothes. In just a short moment, the group of beggars underwent a huge change. Is this Ni Yang's realm? Hua Yan saw the large words on the 3 towering stone pillars, and his eyes could not help but emit a bright light. Ao Feng, Du Zhongjun and the others similarly had their eyes burning. Brother Qin Yu, don't look at that group of fools. We will first enter Ni Yang's realm to obtain the treasures, and let that group of people stay here in a daze, Mangon said teasingly. Qin Yu laughed in his heart, knowing that Mangon was purposely angering Ao Feng and the others. He immediately cooperated and said, "All right, everyone stand properly around me. I will use it now." With Qin Yu as the center, streaks of astonishing sundering the heavens sword energy spread out, forming a huge sword energy shield, completely enveloping Qin Yu's surroundings. Seeing that scene, Hua Yan immediately shouted, "Ming Shan, Lan Bing, Qi Yang and Shui Yu Yang, quickly gather around me." As he said that, Reverend Ming Shan and the other 3 reverends immediately surrounded Hua Yan. Hua Yan did not dare to waste time, and also immediately activated the Sundering the Heavens sword energy within the Sundering the Heavens diagrams. With Hua Yan as the center, a sword energy shield also spread out, enveloping the few people within. At that moment, no one hesitated. Not only Hua Yan, Ao Feng and Du Zhongjun also immediately gathered their own people to surround them at that moment, and then directly activated the Sundering the Heavens diagram sword energy. 4 sword energy shields could be seen to envelop the 4 people. It was just that among the 4 sword energy shields, Qin Yu's was the largest. Wang. On the boundless earth, those 3 solitary stone pillars actually trembled violently. With the 3 towering stone pillars as the center, waves of sound waves spread out in all directions. Those sound waves had an extremely shocking destructive power. The earth rolled under the sound waves, the air vibrated under the sound waves, flames emerged from the ground, cold air surrounded from all directions. In merely an instant, the originally quiet earth had actually turned into a hell-like world. The blue heavenly fire and weeping gold cold air were even more so floating in all directions. Mangon and the group of people who saw that scene all felt a wave of shock in their hearts. It was just that the strange thing was that the 4 groups of people who were enveloped by the 4 great sword energy shields actually did not suffer the slightest bit of injury. It was as if the surrounding attacks would automatically avoid when they came into contact with the Sundering the Heavens sword energy. No matter how that world shook, those 3 stone pillars still stood tall. Suddenly, so bright. 3 dazzling white lights shot towards the sky from those 3 stone pillars, and immediately spread out in all directions. That dazzling white light caused the people who were present to practically lose their sight at the same time. Qin Yu felt his eyes instantly lose their sight, and only recovered after a while. Meanwhile, at that moment, Qin Yu's eyes could only see the boundless white light. That white light enveloped the sky, and enveloped the earth. Qin Yu could only vaguely see some of the figures of the people around him. As for his spiritual sense, he was completely unable to explore that space. "Big brother, can you hear my voice?" Ho Fei spoke. "I can hear you." Qin Yu's heart relaxed for a moment. This white light that came out is very strange. It does not seem to cause any harm to us, but our visibility has dropped to a terrifying level. You are right beside me, yet I can only vaguely see your figure. Mangon's voice sounded. "Do not worry. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang definitely has his deep meaning for making such arrangements. Did you not feel that the chaotic energy outside did not harm us in the slightest? I reckon that it is because of this Sundering the Heavens sword energy." "Right." Yu Liang smiled and said, "Now we can only wait." "Only wait." Qin Yu's face had a hint of a helpless smile, and could only quietly continue to wait. Perhaps it was a moment, perhaps it was half a day, or perhaps it was a month. Within that world of white light, it was simply difficult to feel the flow of time. Meanwhile, the white light suddenly began to slowly thin out. Qin Yu and the group of people could not help but carefully look at their surroundings. The white light gradually disappeared, and the sword energy barrier also disappeared at the same time. The stream gurgled, and the fallen leaves danced in the air. A small bridge and flowing water, a world that was like a paradise appeared before everyone's eyes. What a beautiful world! Qin Yu could not help but sigh emotionally. The sky was so blue, and the floating clouds were as soft as silk. The spring water was so clear that one could see the marks of the cobblestones below. The ancient trees were hundreds of meters tall, and the mottled patterns left behind by the passage of time. That world was so beautiful that it was like a world in a painting, or a world in a dream. Meanwhile, everyone who were looking around also saw the other few groups of people at the same time. 5 people from the Dragon Clan, 5 people from the Loose Immortal side, and 3 people from the Loose Devil side. This is the legendary starting point of Ni Yang's realm, the realm of clear mind. Since this place is the realm of clear mind of Ni Yang's realm. Haha. This is Ni Yang's realm. I have finally arrived at Ni Yang's realm. Du Zhongjun's loud laughter rang out in this quiet world. And just at this moment, a bolt of lightning struck Du Zhongjun's head. Loud noises are not allowed in the realm of clear mind. A voice rang out between heaven and earth. The smile on Du Zhongjun's face froze. At the same time, his face turned red. His throat wriggled and a mouthful of blood was involuntarily spat out. Immediately, Du Zhongjun took out a medicinal pill and swallowed it. Knowing that it is the first realm of Ni Yang's realm, the realm of clear mind, but actually not knowing the rules of the realm of clear mind, you are really looking for trouble. Hua Yen, who was at the side, said with a light laugh. As people from the upper realm, they naturally knew a few things about Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's old lair, Ni Yang's realm. After all, when Immortal Emperor Ni Yang was unhindered in the immortal, devil and demon realms, he had also invited some of the big shots of various realms to discuss matters. As for the location, it was usually his lair. Therefore they all knew that the first realm of Ni Yang's realm was the realm of clear mind. They also knew that the realm of clear mind was an extremely comfortable world. Loud noises were absolutely not allowed, and fighting was even more not allowed. Brother Qinyu, all of you must remember one thing. Speaking in the realm of clear mind cannot be too loud. Otherwise, you have seen Du Zhongjun's outcome just now. Fortunately, Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's great array back then was only used as a punishment. The power of the lightning was automatically judged according to the person speaking. Otherwise, Du Zhongjun would not only be injured. Man Gong said with a smile. It was just that Man Gong's voice was still relatively soft, and not as loud as before. Ho Fei covered his mouth with his hand. Just now, he had wanted to roar a few times. Fortunately, he had learned from Du Zhongjun's mistake. In the realm of clear mind, all the more you must not fight. Otherwise, the consequences will be even more serious. Man Gong reminded again. Qin Yu firmly remembered it in his heart. Fortunately, I decided to come together with the emissary from the upper realm. If I came alone in advance, I would not know about the many taboos of Ni Yang's realm. I might have unintentionally violated some taboos, and might have lost my little life. Qin Yu could not help but secretly rejoice. Qin Yu had also thought about it long ago. How could Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's old nest be broken through by brute force alone? Although he had the sword Immortal Puppet, he would undoubtedly die if he forcefully barged in. Meanwhile, the emissaries from the upper realm were different. Each and every one of them came prepared. Entering together with the emissaries from the upper realm could save him a lot of detours. When he encountered treasures that he needed, Qin Yu could still use the sword Immortal Puppet at the last moment to snatch them away with lightning speed. I am Immortal Emperor Ni Yang. Welcome everyone to Ni Yang's realm. An indifferent voice sounded in this endless heaven and earth. In an instant, everyone quieted down. Those were the words left behind by Immortal Emperor Ni Yang, and no one dared to not listen. I believe that among the people who entered Ni Yang's realm, there are people from the immortal realm, and also people from the devil realm. Haha. I am a dying person's old nest, and it has attracted so many people. I am really proud. Qin Yu felt a wave of doubt in his heart. Back then at the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion, Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's voice contained a teasing tone. However, the voice of Immortal Emperor Ni Yang in Ni Yang's realm had a trace of indifference. Since all of you have entered, you must have suffered quite a bit. As the owner of Ni Yang's realm, I, Immortal Emperor Ni Yang, naturally have to prepare some gifts for everyone. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's voice was slow and indifferent. Through the realm of clear mind, all of you have found the scattered treasures cliff. There are quite a number of treasures there, and all of you can go and take as much as you want. Consider this a meeting gift from me to all of you. Chapter 290. Meeting Gift. Immediately, the 4 loose immortals under Hua Yan's command, the 3 elders of the Dragon Clan, Wu Hei, Fire Devil and the others all become restless. The goal of the 4 emissaries from the Ascendant Realms is not here, so they may still remain calm. However, their subordinates are unable to remain calm. Qin Yu is also very calm. His goal is not the treasure left behind by Immortal Emperor Ni Yang, but the item left behind by Uncle Lon. That item is related to what realm he must cultivate to before he can meet Lier. The Scattered Treasures Cliff is divided into 2 layers. The upper layer has more than 10 pieces of finest grade immortal equipment. Most of them have different styles, and there is even a set of finest grade immortal equipment battle armor. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang says with a light smile. The eyes of Hua Yan, Du Zhongjun, Man Gon, Zhongju and the other experts all brighten. Finest grade immortal swords, they may not care too much. However, finest grade immortal equipment battle armor, that is different. The lower layer has more than 100 pieces of high-grade immortal equipment. Most of them are attack type, and there are also quite a few sets of defensive battle armor. At the same time, there is also a set of special type weapons. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's second sentence makes everyone somewhat moved. More than 100 pieces of high-grade immortal equipment? Those high-grade immortal equipment can at least be considered a huge fortune when brought back. After all, that most important treasure is to be given to their own leader when they return. Those immortal equipment belong to them. Special type weapons? A ray of light flashes through Hua Yan's eyes. Special type weapons are generally harder to obtain than defensive battle armor. Qin Yu looks at the surrounding people. Looks like when we reach the Scattered Treasures Cliff, we may have to kill a lot. Xiao Hei and I also do not have any good defensive battle armor. Looks like we should also work hard to obtain a set. Qin Yu's heart also has the intention to compete. Only, this Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's words cannot be completely believed. Qin Yu has the experience of the 9 Swords' immortal abode. Meanwhile, at that moment, Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's voice, which has always been indifferent, suddenly becomes fierce. There are people here from the immortal realm, right? I have long advised this person from the immortal realm to give up. Because the difficulty of you safely surviving in Ni Yang's realm will be 3 times that of others. Within Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's words contains absolute anger. They came from the immortal realm. They are either Emperor Yu or Emperor Xian's men. Those 2 bastards want to take my things? Dream on. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang said angrily, "Little guy from the immortal realm, don't say that I didn't give you a chance, it's just that the difficulty has increased by 3 times. Hua Yan's face is lifeless. Man Gon, Du Zhongjun, Ao Feng, Fong Tian, Zhongju and the others all looked at Hua Yan sympathetically. Very obviously, this Immortal Emperor Ni Yang obviously has a huge enmity with the Immortal World's Emperor Yu, Xian Emperor and the others. Therefore, the obstacles he set are very difficult for the people of the Immortal World. No wonder Lord Emperor Yu said that before I left. Hua Yan's face is filled with helplessness. The increase in difficulty not only meant that his chances of obtaining treasures had decreased, but the most important thing was, he, Hua Yan, might very well lose his life in this Ni Yang's realm. Alright, I will treat all rogue cultivators from the Demon Realm, Devil Realm, and Mortal Realm equally. The special restrictive spell I set up is only effective against immortals whose cultivation base has reached the 1st tier of Golden Immortal Realm. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's voice resounds. Although I am not here personally, the restrictive spell I left behind, even if Emperor Yu and the others personally came, it would be impossible to forcefully break it without being seriously injured. Moreover, just relying on themselves, how could they possibly come down to the lower realm? If the barrier between the 2 realms is broken, then even a 1st-tier Golden Immortal is unable to come down. That so-called emissary, I reckon that he would not be able to catch up to the Mortal Realm's 12th Tribulation rogue cultivators. My restrictive spell being ineffective is nothing. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang says with a faint smile. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang seems to be very confident that Emperor Yu and the others are unable to come down. The expression on Hua Yan's face becomes even more bitter. Alright, all of you can set off. Find the treasures on the scattered treasures cliff that are suitable for you. With good treasures, your chances of survival will be higher. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's voice resounds, and almost everyone sets off. Destination: Scattered Treasures Cliff. Brother Man Gone, where is this Scattered Treasures Cliff? Qin Yu quietly says to Man Gone. For some unknown reason, there seems to be a special kind of suppression within this Ni Yang's realm. Although the current Qin Yu has complete control over his spiritual energy, at most, it can only allow his spiritual energy to leave his body by about 1 meter, and is unable to extend any further. Man Gone shakes his head and says doubtfully, I am also not clear. His Majesty the Demon Emperor also did not tell me which place in Ni Yang's realm is called Scattered Treasures Cliff. Qin Yu looks towards Hua Yan, Ao Feng, and Du Zhongjun. At that moment, those 3 emissaries also have faces full of doubt, and are currently slowly advancing. It is obvious that they also do not have a clear direction, and can only aimlessly advance within the realm of clear mind of Ni Yang's realm. Everyone, we completely do not know where the Scattered Treasures Cliff is, so how are we going to find it? I think it is better to split up and search. Zhongju's flat voice resounds. Almost everyone's footsteps stop. Split up. In this place, demon awareness is completely unable to be used, and can only rely on the eyes. And the realm of clear mind of Ni Yang's realm is so big, when will we be able to find the Scattered Treasures Cliff? Zhongju says with a smile, although we split up to search, and those who find it first will obtain many treasures, that also depends on each person's luck. If you find it first, you will similarly obtain many treasures. Zhongju looks towards the few emissaries of the higher realms. Everything depends on each person's luck. I wonder what the few emissaries of the higher realms think. No way. Man Gone and Ao Feng almost simultaneously say. Man Gone has few people, and the chances of finding it are smaller. However, if everyone finds it together, with Man Gone's strength, they can definitely obtain many treasures. Ao Feng is the same. The Dragon Clan has 2 great experts, Ao Feng and Feng Tian. Currently, Feng Tian is wearing a finest grade battle armor, and wielding a finest grade demon equipment. His strength is definitely not inferior to Hua Yan and Du Zhongjun. The 2 of them joining hands can naturally obtain many treasures. This won't do, that won't do. Then what do you all say we should do? Zhongju says calmly. Ao Feng smiles and nods towards Man Gone. I think everyone should still walk together, since everyone is also not in a hurry. 3 years have already passed in the land of extreme peril's domain of chill, and we are still anxious about these few days? If everyone walks together, we will also find the Scattered Treasures Cliff together, and it will not be too late to fight then. Brother Man Gone, what do you think? I agree. Man Gone smiles and nods. In front of Benefits, the 2 enemies are now standing on the same line. Among this group of people who entered Ni Yang's realm, there are 6 super experts. Ao Feng, Feng Tian, Hua Yan, Du Zhongjun, Man Gone, and Zhongju. Among them, Man Gone is the strongest. Currently, Ao Feng, Feng Tian, and Man Gone all support everyone to advance together, and the others also have no other choice. Of course, everyone does not know that the one with the strongest attack power is not Man Gone, and also not the 2 great experts of the Dragon Clan, but the seemingly weakest, Qin Yu. A level 9 golden immortal sword immortal puppet. Its strength is terrifyingly strong. It is just that the current Qin Yu always has a smiling face as he looks at Man Gone and the others, and will consult Man Gone and the others for everything. Alright, then let's advance together. In the end, the people from all sides agreed on the conditions, and the group of people advanced along the same path. Ni Yang's realm is very big. As for how big it is, one only needs to look at the first realm of Ni Yang's realm of clear mind to see. With everyone's speed, they actually walked for 3 days before reaching the borders of the realm of clear mind. We have more or less run through the entire realm of clear mind. Looks like that scattered treasures cliff is not in the realm of clear mind. From now on, we will have to step into the other regions of Ni Yang's realm. Mangon said to Qin Yu and the others behind him. The realm of clear mind of Ni Yang's realm is still considered safe, but the other places are different. If you are not careful, you may lose your little lives, so you must be careful. Qin Yu and the others all nodded to express their understanding. The realm of clear mind is mostly full of business, with green as the main area, and is a flat land. However, once they walked out of the realm of clear mind, everyone entered a world of mountains and forests. Mountain peaks and valleys can be seen everywhere. Everyone advanced along the way, and the speed of their advance was obviously much slower than in the realm of clear mind. Every one of them was careful, but the majority of them had some anger in their hearts. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang is too despicable. He only mentioned Scattered Treasures Cliff. Ni Yang's realm is so big, who knows where Scattered Treasures Cliff is? A muttering voice sounded. The others also had anger in their hearts, but no one was willing to give up. Even if they gave up, who knew how to get out? Suddenly, rumble, the sound of that waterfall crashing continuously sounded. Qin Yu looked towards the source of the sound, and there was currently a waterfall that was about several tens of meters high. The water flow was like countless silver chains that bombarded the pool below. Suddenly, Qin Yu's eyes trembled. That was because on the huge mountain wall beside the waterfall, there were actually 3 large red words: Scattered Treasures Cliff. Almost at the same time, several figures had already scurried out. My lord. Yu Liang and Kong Chao bowed and asked Mangon for instructions, because before entering Ni Yang's realm, Mangon had strictly ordered that no matter what they wanted to do at any time, Yu Liang and Kong Chao must ask for instructions from him. You all should also. Mangon was just about to speak, when suddenly, haha. Finest grade battle armor, that's great. The loud laughter was extremely loud, and Qin Yu immediately knew that it was the chaotic Astral Ocean's divine beast, petrification beast, rock change. Finest grade immortal equipment battle armor? A trace of anger flashed across the eyes of Yu Liang and the others, especially Yu Liang. With his speed, if he did not need to ask for instructions from Mangon, he would have long obtained that finest grade immortal equipment battle armor. On the other side, the 4 scattered immortals were also asking for instructions from Hua Yen. Take action and snatch it. Hua Yen gave the order. Almost at the moment that order was given, everyone rushed towards the location of the Scattered Treasures Cliff. After passing through the forest and arriving in front of that waterfall, everything could finally be seen clearly. The waterfall poured down in torrents from above, smashing into the deep pool below. At the side of that pool, there was a huge rock that was several tens of meters long. On top of that huge rock, there was another rock that was close to 10 meters long. On the topmost rock, there were more than 10 pieces of finest grade immortal equipment, while Rock Change was currently standing on that rock with an excited expression, holding a set of black-colored battle armor in his hands. On the rock below, there were more than 100 pieces of immortal equipment: swords, blades, spears, staffs, rods. Including battle armor, there was everything. It was very obvious that it was the high-grade immortal equipment that Immortal Emperor Ni Yang had mentioned. Those 2 layers of rock should be the Scattered Treasures Cliff, while beside the Scattered Treasures Cliff, there was also a pitch-black stone sculpture. The sculpture's appearance was exactly the same as the sculpture that Qin Yu had seen at the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. Meanwhile, at that moment, there were already quite a number of people on that Scattered Treasures Cliff. Wait. Qin Yu gave his 2 brothers a look, and stopped them. As long as it was a person who had passed through the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion, they would definitely not easily believe the words that Immortal Emperor Ni Yang had said. Was it certain that there was no danger when Immortal Emperor Ni Yang had said that there was no danger? Immortal Emperor Ni Yang had also said that the Peach Blossom Spring was safe, and the road to Yellow Springs was the road to death. What happened in the end? Those who had chosen the Peach Blossom Spring had all died, while those who had chosen the road to Yellow Springs had instead not died. When Ho Fei and Kuro heard Qin Yu stop, they both stopped in their tracks. Meanwhile, at that moment, Yu Liang and Kong Chao also prepared to take action. Boom! The sound of an explosion rang out. A kind of terrifying low and deep sound. That frightening undulation caused even the expressions of Man Gone and the others to greatly change. Moreover, that undulation came one after another. That undulation was precisely transmitted from the scattered treasures cliff. Those who reacted quickly immediately threw out the immortal equipment in their hands, while those who reacted slowly exploded from their yuanying, fresh blood and broken limbs flying in all directions. There were only a few low undulations. Those who were greedy, as well as experts who reacted slowly, died in a pile. On the side of the loose immortals, the ones who died were Reverend Lon Bing and Reverend Qi Yang. On the side of the loose devils, a fire devil died, and the dragon clan actually also lost an elder. That change in stone was really too greedy. Qin Yu immediately clearly saw those who had died. Kong Chao, Yu Liang and the others' faces were deathly pale. Just now, if they had rushed up a step faster, they would have been sending themselves to their deaths. There were also those who saw others explode, and hurriedly threw away the immortal equipment in their hands to escape. Although they were seriously injured, the 2 or 3 people who were lucky enough to survive all felt a lingering fear in their hearts. Man Gone, Du Zhongjun, Hua Yan, Ao Feng, Zhongju and Fong Tian all had solemn expressions, while their subordinates were even more so frightened to the point that none of them dared to go forward and take those treasures. Because 5 people had died at once, the remaining people were all afraid. What kind of restriction is that? Fong Tian voiced out. Ao Feng pondered for a moment, and said, "If my guess is not wrong, that should belong to a secret technique, originating from..." In short, it is a secret technique from a mysterious place, and does not belong to the restriction of the immortal realm. As long as this secret technique is used on a weapon, if another person drips their blood on it to become the master, that secret technique's strange energy will fuse into the yuanying, and then cause the yuanying to self-destruct. The people who died just now should all be people who dripped their blood on it to become the master. Ao Su, the Dragon Clan elder who had thrown away the finest grade immortal equipment in his hands at lightning speed and luckily survived, said with a heavy expression, "Just now, I did not drip my blood on it to become the master, so I did not die. And just now, the speed at which Reverend Lon Bing threw away the immortal equipment in his hands was even faster than mine. However, after he threw away the immortal equipment, he still self-destructed, because he had already dripped his blood on it to become the master. That secret technique's energy had already entered his yuanying. Just now, the first reaction of the people who had rushed up to obtain the treasures was mostly to drip their blood on it to become the master. After all, they were also afraid that it would be snatched away by others. Ha ha. The greeting gift that I have given everyone is not bad, right? Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's voice sounded between heaven and earth. Freak. The petrified beast's heart is filled with anger. His little brother was killed just now. This secret technique is something that I learned from my good friend, Lord of Black Flame. It is very easy to break this secret technique. The first way is to reach the power of a level 1 mystic immortal, and directly use the primordial flame in your body to refine it. However, once you reach the level of a level 1 mystic immortal, your immortal sense will have already discovered the secret technique that I have attached to it. The second way is to let someone else drip their blood on it to become the master and absorb the energy of the secret technique. Then you can snatch it from them without any danger. Hearing Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's words, no one moves. The experts look at each other, their eyes full of uncertainty. Can Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's words be believed? Chapter 291. You are probably worried that this old man is deceiving you. Haha, the reason why I set up this trial is only to test whether you are careful or not. I know that I don't have long to live, but I can tell you one thing, nothing can be obtained without sowing. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's voice contained an indifference that could see through everything. This kind of tone would usually come from someone who is about to die. After passing through here, you can directly move forward in a straight line, and you can reach the second destination. Just walk in a straight line. The person who reaches the end, that treasure will be his. Don't worry, except for the treasure on the scattered treasures cliff, the other treasures do not have any secret technique attached. Okay, I am too lazy to set up a voice restriction, I have said so much. I am also a bit tired. The following hints, I will leave them on the stone tablet. Sigh, fighting for a lifetime, now still thinking about fighting. Is there any meaning? No meaning. This is indeed a problem, but unfortunately I have no more time. Luck, sometimes is really important, sigh. A sigh, weakened. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's voice began to gradually weaken. Qin Yu had a feeling. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang should have set up this voice restriction before he died. Luck. Qin Yu's heart moved. Originally at the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion, this Immortal Emperor Ni Yang had once mentioned luck. It seems that this Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's luck was very bad, which led to the final pitiful ending. And at this time, the group of people on the field were on the verge of erupting. 5 people died, representing that the 5 best grade immortal equipment did not have any secret technique attached. Of course, this was on the premise that Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's words were all true. But most of them had a feeling that what Immortal Emperor Ni Yang said this time should be true. Moreover, someone had already taken the initiative to make a move. Hua Yan's eyes flashed, at the same time his figure flashed, and he was the first to rush towards the best grade immortal equipment battle armor. Among the 5 best grade immortal equipment, of course the most precious one would be that defensive battle armor. Hua Yan, this best grade immortal equipment battle armor is mine. Zhong Ju's voice sounded. At the same time the other 4 immortal equipment also entered Zhong Ju's hands. This Zhong Ju actually took all 5 immortal equipment in one breath. In terms of speed, among those present, who would dare to compare themselves with Zhong Ju? Furthermore, the entire Ni Yang's realm was different from the outside world. Not only were they unable to use their spiritual senses, demon awareness, and so on, even teleportation was very difficult. It was as if there was some kind of obstruction, so everyone could only rely on their speed. Big brother, Senior Zhong Ju didn't bind it with his blood either. Clearly, he's worried that there's a problem with the armor. Ho Fei transmitted. Qin Yu nodded as he looked at the scene. On the stage, Hua Yan's face was ice cold. Zhong Ju, hand over this top-grade immortal artifact and I might spare your life. Hua Yan's attitude was absolutely unyielding. Within Ni Yang's realm, the most precious treasure was to be handed over to Emperor Yu. Only the other things would belong to him. Therefore, if he obtained this supreme-grade immortal armor, it would be his. In order to raise his status in the immortal world, he naturally needed such a good immortal artifact. Mangon smiled and said to Ao Feng and the others, Ao Feng, I dare to bet that this Hua Yan must have guessed something, which is why he dared to snatch that top-grade immortal equipment battle armor. Ao Feng smiled and said, No need to guess. At that time, when Lord Immortal Emperor Ni Yang traveled to the mortal world, Emperor Yu and the others were very clear about this matter. Moreover, after a short period of time, Immortal Emperor Ni Yang died. Hearing Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's words just now, it was obvious that he was about to die. How would an ambitious and ruthless person who was about to die be so bored as to still deceive us at the end? That's why, those 5 immortal artifacts don't have any problems at all. Mangon said with a smile. Hearing Mangon say that, Zhong Ju's brows relaxed slightly from afar. He obtained the immortal artifacts, but did not bind them with his blood. It was not that he did not consider this aspect. It was just that he did not know many things about Immortal Emperor Ni Yang, so it was naturally difficult to judge. Mangon, you are really smart. Moreover, I have also heard some rumors about this secret technique. Previously, I was not certain, but after hearing Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's words, I am naturally certain. Those 5 immortal artifacts had been bound with blood before, and bound with blood again. Naturally, there is no danger at all. Hua Yan said with a smile. At the same time, he looked towards Zhong Ju and urged, Brother Zhong Ju, you can freely bind them with your blood. There is absolutely no danger. If one's own enemy told them that something was not dangerous, and asked them to do it, would anyone do it? At that moment, Zhong Ju was in that kind of situation. Does this secret technique only have one use? It is hard to say. My knowledge is really too little, and I am unable to distinguish. Sigh, this is indeed a difficult problem. Zhongju suddenly sighed softly, while Hua Yan at the side smiled. Ah! A miserable scream sounded, and at that moment, Zhongju's body, who was originally standing, gradually disappeared like a bubble. Separate. When Kuro saw that scene, his lips moved, and it was unknown what he said. Qin looked towards Kuro in confusion. Big brother, this is exactly the same as a movement technique in my inherited memories. It is just that my current power is still insufficient, and I am still unable to use that move. Kuro used a transmission talisman to send that message to Qin Yu. Spiritual awareness transmission was not possible within Ni Yang's realm, and he did not want others to know, so he could only use a transmission talisman. Qin Yu secretly nodded, and at that moment, Zhongju's loud laughter sounded. Hua Yan, do not be angry. I only borrowed a bit of your man's blood. If he is lucky and does not die, I will give him this top-grade immortal equipment. Zhongju's laughter was incomparably clear, and the sound of the waterfall did not affect it in the slightest. Hua Yan's face was ashen. Not angry? How could he not be angry? This Zhongju did not dare to try it himself, and actually injured Reverend Ming Shan at an astonishing speed. At the same time, he also obtained Reverend Ming Shan's blood, and dripped it onto a top-grade immortal sword. Do not be anxious. Wait a moment. I only need a little bit of time to know if I can safely drip blood on it. Let's see if that lucky loose immortal behind you can explode. Zhongju said with a smile. And the lucky loose immortal Reverend Ming Shan's face was deathly pale, so much so that he felt that his heartbeat surpassed everything else. Perhaps at some point, his Yuanying would explode. According to the rumors that Hua Yan had heard from his sex elders, and according to what Immortal Emperor Ni Yang had just said, Hua Yan inferred that there was an 80 to 90% chance that these immortal equipment no longer had that secret technique. Why would he leave time for Zhongju to judge? Leave the battle armor behind. Hua Yan shouted angrily, and his entire person soared into the sky. At the same time, a gorgeous sword energy pierced through the air and shot towards Zhongju. And Zhongju did not block at all. Instead, his figure skillfully moved, and in an instant, one person turned into two. Doppelganger technique? Du Zhongjun cried out in surprise. Ao Feng was also greatly shocked. Man Gong instead smiled faintly and said, "It is not a doppelganger technique. With his martial power, he is still unable to use a doppelganger technique. However, this is a supreme movement technique belonging to the super divine beasts, the golden-winged great rocks. In terms of power, it is not much weaker than a doppelganger technique." With Man Gong's position, he naturally knew quite a lot of information about the golden-winged great rocks. Hua Yan did not hesitate, and that sword energy pierced through one of the two Zhongjus. The one that was pierced instantly turned into nothingness, while the other one also turned into an illusion. "Hua Yan, I am here." Zhongju's voice actually came from above. Everyone raised their heads to look. They only saw Zhongju standing at the top of the waterfall, smiling as he looked down at Hua Yan below. 12th Tribulation Loose Demon. Super Divine Beast Golden-Winged Great Rocks. In terms of martial power, there was not much difference between it and a level 1 Golden Immortal Sword Immortal. However, in terms of speed, Zhongju definitely surpassed Hua Yan. Still not dead after such a long time. It seems that what Immortal Emperor Ni Yang said was indeed true. Zhongju looked at the 4 immortal equipment in his hands, and his face revealed a satisfied smile. As for that missing finest grade immortal equipment, it had already been kept by the lucky Reverend Ming Shan within his body. 4 drops of blood practically dripped into the 4 immortal equipment at the same time. Cannot give him time to refine. Hua Yan only had this thought in his mind. At that time, when he had just descended to the lower realm, he had used martial power to suppress Zhongju and Feng Tian. Therefore, in his heart, Hua Yan believed that he was absolutely superior to Feng Tian and Zhongju. After Feng Tian obtained the finest grade immortal equipment and battle armor from Ao Feng, Hua Yan did not have confidence in Feng Tian. However, he still had confidence in Zhong Ju. Moreover, Hua Yan knew that to truly unleash the power of a weapon, merely dripping blood to become its owner was not enough. One still needed to use one's own energy to refine it, to let the weapon completely adapt to one's own energy, and achieve the state of being able to command it as one's own arm. Therefore, when Hua Yan saw Zhong Ju dripping blood to become its owner, he did not hesitate to take action. His entire person soared into the sky at an astonishing speed, and directly rushed towards Zhong Ju, who was above the waterfall. "Humph, Hua Yan, you are really too much." Zhong Ju's voice sounded in the sky. At the same time, a black light flashed in the sky, and Hua Yan actually flew backwards at an even faster speed. How is that possible? Hua Yan landed on the ground, and continuously retreated a few steps. His face was filled with shock. Man Gong, Ao Feng, Du Zhongjun, Feng Tian and the others were all shocked. Even if Zhong Ju had the finest grade immortal equipment, Zhong Ju had only just dripped blood to become its owner. The power that he could unleash was only less than half. How was it possible that he could directly contend against Hua Yan and not be at a disadvantage? The weapon that Uncle Lon left for him has finally been used. Qin Yu had instead long anticipated this situation. At that time, Zhong Ju had told this secret to Qin Yu. That is not any one of the 4 immortal equipment. The immortal equipment just now was not black. Man Gong looked at the weapon in Zhong Ju's hand and said in a deep voice. Everyone had noticed the weapon in Zhong Ju's hand. It was the weapon that had previously struck back at Hua Yan, an extremely narrow long blade. It seems to be similar to the material of Fei and Kurowa's weapons. Qin Yu carefully observed and came to a conclusion in his heart. No matter if it was Ho Fei's black stick or Kurowa's cloud-piercing spear, the color and patterns of the materials were exactly the same as the weapon in Zhong Ju's hand. Qin Yu was even more certain in his heart that this weapon should be a gift from Uncle Lon. Ha ha! Brother Zhong Ju, you and I are known by the loose cultivators of the mortal realm as the 2 great invincible existences. However, only now do I know. In the past, your strength actually surpassed mine. I really did not expect that you actually have such a powerful weapon. This is a finest grade demon equipment, right? When did you obtain it? Feng Tian asked with a smile. At that moment, Zhong Ju's face had a hint of a smile. After hiding for such a long time, in order to block Hua Yan's attack, he finally took out his treasure. Finest grade demon equipment, it can be considered as such. Zhong Ju said with a faint smile. What grade exactly was that weapon? Zhong Ju himself was also uncertain. However, when it had just collided with Hua Yan's immortal sword, Zhong Ju felt that in terms of hardness, it seemed that his own long blade was slightly superior. Hua Yan slowly inserted the immortal sword into the scabbard on his back and said with a faint smile, Zhong Ju, you have really surprised me. This finest grade immortal equipment battle armor is dispensable to me. With your strength, you also have the qualifications to take it. At that moment, the 4 emissaries from the upper realm had raised Zhong Ju's position by a level in their hearts. The current Zhong Ju, in terms of speed, surpassed everyone. In terms of attack, that black long blade had already been displayed. In terms of defense, with the finest grade immortal equipment battle armor, Zhong Ju's defense naturally did not need to be discussed. If he did not use his own trump card, it would be impossible for the 4 emissaries to kill Zhong Ju. As for that trump card, no one would be willing to use it now. I did not expect that the person who gained the most from this gathering at the Scattered Treasures Cliff would actually be you, Zhong Ju. Zhong Ju, you have that black long blade. 3 offensive immortal equipment should not be of much use, right? Feng Tian walked in front of Zhong Ju and said with a wink. Feng Tian and Zhong Ju had a good relationship with each other. It was very normal for them to joke around with each other. Scram, your dragon clan is rich and overbearing, don't have any ideas about my chaotic astral ocean. Petrify, this finest grade immortal equipment is for you. A cyan-colored battle blade appeared in Zhong Ju's hand. At the same time he touched the blood contract. Petrify only said, thank you, After all, his little brother had just died. Qin Yu, I see that your two brothers' weapons are not bad. You, on the other hand, only have a middle-grade immortal equipment. This immortal sword is also for you. Zhong Ju took out another finest-grade immortal sword and removed the blood contract. Qin Yu was not courteous, as he indeed did not have any powerful offensive weapons. Although he could use that long sword from the sword immortal puppet, Qin Yu really did not like to use the sword immortal puppet's weapon. Thank you, Senior Zhong. Qin Yu received that finest-grade immortal equipment long sword, and at the same time, dripped his blood to bind it to him. What are you thanking for, being able to enter Ni Yang's realm? Isn't it all because of your contribution? Meanwhile, at that moment, Zhong Ju suddenly turned his head to look at Man Gone. Brother Man Gone, I say, Brother Qin Yu brought your people into Ni Yang's realm. Shouldn't you also use practical actions to thank him? The smile on Man Gone's face froze. Man Gone was in a difficult position. Seeing that finest-grade immortal sword Zhong Ju had taken out, Qin Yu obviously possessed a finest-grade immortal sword. If he, Man Gone, were to gift another finest-grade immortal sword, that would be unnecessary. However, if he were to gift a finest-grade immortal equipment battle armor, Man Gone would also be reluctant. As for better things, Man Gone did have them, but he himself was reluctant to use those things, not to mention giving them to others. Brother Man Gone, you are an emissary from the demon realm, and your status is much higher than I, Zhong Ju. I, Zhong Ju, am only a leader from the mortal realm. Compared to all of you, I am too poor. This finest grade immortal equipment is something that I have just obtained, and I really do not have anything else to take out, which is why I gifted you a finest grade immortal sword. I believe that Brother Man Gone's gift must be extraordinary, right? Zhong Ju looked at Man Gone with a face full of smiles. Chapter 292. At that moment, Man Qian was extremely embarrassed. Qin Yu had brought him along to enter Ni Yang's realm. Such a great kindness, to be honest. Man Qian had always remembered it from the bottom of his heart. It was just that although Man Gone was a super divine beast, he was only a level 1 demon king. If it weren't for the fact that he came down as a messenger of the demon realm, how could he have so many treasures in one go? Even if it was a super divine beast, it would be considered pretty good if it could possess a demon weapon when it was a level 1 demon king. That was why Man Gone was still very reluctant to give Qin Yu good treasures. If she gave him one less, the rest would belong to him when he returned to the demon realm. Brother Man Qian, you are wrong. Thinking back to when I first descended to the mortal world, I even publicly announced that whoever obtained the heaven-sundering diagram would give it to me. I will directly bestow the top-grade immortal equipment battle armor to him on behalf of Emperor Yu. Hua Yan seems to be very indignant on behalf of Qin Yu as he says, later on, in order to obtain a heaven-sundering diagram from the auction, the price I paid was more than just a top-grade immortal armor. What's the use of the heaven-sundering diagram? Isn't it just to let me enter Ni Yang's realm? Now that little brother Qin Yu has brought you in, it's equivalent to giving you a heaven-sundering diagram. How can a dignified messenger of the demon realm be so stingy? Man Qian's face instantly turned red. Zhong Ju's words were rather vague, but Hua Yan's words were very direct. Meanwhile, Du Zhongjun, who had a grudge against Man Gone, naturally would not let go of that opportunity. He immediately sneered and said, "Oh. So the super divine beast purple-eyed bull demon king is actually like this." "That's enough," Qin Yu quickly interrupted. "I can bring 8 people in. It's a waste to leave the quota empty. Moreover, Brother Man Gone and I have a rather deep friendship. It's just bringing them into Ni Yang's realm together, that's all. It's not a big deal." Qin Yu also looked towards Man Gone. "Brother Man Gone, I currently possess a top-grade immortal sword, which is already sufficient. You don't have to worry too much about it. How about this? In the process of exploring Ni Yang's realm, if you obtain any treasures, you can just give me one of them." In reality, Qin Yu also felt Man Gone's awkwardness. If the other party is unwilling to give it to you and you force it, you will destroy the relationship between the two parties. Furthermore, to the current Qin Yu, a defensive battle armor? For Qin Yu, who had a near-immortal body, the defensive armor was not very effective. The expression on Man Qian's face changed, and he suddenly relaxed. Ha ha. Man Gon's eyes shone brightly. Ah, Brother Qin Yu, I am indeed a little petty. Wasn't it just a supreme-grade demon artifact? Entering Ni Yang's realm this time, how great of a favor was this? If I go back empty-handed. When Man Qian thought of returning to the demon realm empty-handed, it was indeed a loss of face. He couldn't help but feel even more grateful to Qin Yu, thinking that he was too stingy. Keep this supreme-grade demonic artifact battle armor for now. I'll give it to you when I get a good treasure later. Otherwise, I'm afraid I will never be at ease. Man Qian waved his hand, and a set of dark green battle clothes appeared. At the same time, he removed the blood contract. A set of battle clothes that looked like a brocade robe floated in front of Man Qian. Hua Yan, Du Zhongjun and the others were slightly stunned. They thought that Man Gon would at most take out a top-grade demon equipment, and that would be amazing. They never thought that he would take out a top-grade demon equipment battlesuit. Meanwhile, at that moment, Qin Yu also appeared to be a little surprised. Relax. Although I said it was a top-grade demon equipment, this weapon is not differentiated by type. Although it is said to be a top-grade demon equipment, in reality, it is also considered a top-grade immortal equipment. Why aren't you accepting it? Could it be that you are looking down on me? Man Qian looked towards Qin Yu. Qin Yu was helpless. To be honest, he did not care about one or two immortal equipment. What he cared about was that Man Qian owed him a favor. It was just that this matter was deliberately led by Zhongju. Brother Qin Yu, you should just accept it. Otherwise, Brother Man Qian might really be angry, Zhongju urged. Qin Yu helplessly shook his head, but still accepted that set of battle clothes. Brother Man Qian, I will accept this battle clothes. To be honest, I really need a defensive type immortal equipment right now, because my two brothers will probably be ascending soon. They still do not have a top-grade immortal equipment. After Qin Yu finished speaking, he looked towards Hou Fei and Xiao He. In terms of defense, Hou Fei had his own water elemental battle armor. Kuro also had his own black scale battle armor. In terms of defense, Fei's water elemental battle armor is only formed by Fei's ability to control water and his body's fur. Its power is much weaker than the black scale battle armor. This set of battle clothes will first be given to Fei. Qin Yu was still very clear about his own brother's power. When he was young, the feathers on Xiao Hei's body were already extremely sharp and tough. Until now, the black scale battle armor that was formed from Xiao Hei's entire body's feathers was definitely not inferior to a low-grade immortal equipment. Moreover, Xiao Hei was extremely proficient in movement techniques. If it was about escaping, Hou Fei was stronger than Xiao Hei. Xiao Hei, this set of battle clothes will first be given to Fei, Qin Yu greeted Kuro. Big brother, give it to Monkey. His water elemental battle armor's defense is indeed weak. Moreover, his speed and dodging techniques are much weaker than mine. Other than his brute strength and powerful attacks, his escaping abilities are really weak, Kuro said indifferently. Mixed hair bird you. Hou Fei was extremely angry. However, what Kuro said was the truth. This made him speechless. Fiery-eyed water ape was originally a divine beast that was extremely proficient in attack. In terms of escaping, it was definitely far inferior to the bird-type divine beast Xiao Hei. Alright, stop fooling around, Qin Yu smiled and stopped the two. Then, he handed the battle clothes to Hou Fei. At this moment, Ao Feng's voice sounded. So many top-grade immortal equipment, and over 100 high-grade immortal equipment. Isn't it because of the secret technique attached to them? This secret technique needs to be dripped with blood before it can be activated. I won't drip blood on it. I'll bring them all back and let a senior mystic immortal help me refine that secret technique. Ao Feng himself slowly walked towards the scattered treasures cliff. Instantly, the other emissary's eyes brightened. Not to mention asking a senior mystic immortal to help refine it, even after leaving Ni Yang's realm. Wouldn't it be fine to just casually grab some people with low martial power and let them drip blood on it and let them use up the secret technique's energy? Instantly, the three great experts, Man Gong, Hua Yan, and Du Zhongjun, all took action. However, this time, the four great emissaries' goal seemed to be high-grade immortal equipment. That's right, Ao Feng and the other three great emissaries' goal were all high-grade immortal equipment. None of them went to take the top-grade immortal equipment. That was because the four of them had storage rings with high-grade immortal equipment, but did not have any space rings with top-grade immortal equipment. They were completely unable to place the top-grade immortal equipment into the space rings. If they were unable to place them into the space rings, how would the four great emissaries obtain the top-grade immortal equipment? Could it be that they would always hold those top-grade immortal equipment in their hands? Ni Yang's realm was filled with danger. Could it be that they would always hold on to those unusable top-grade immortal equipment? Other than holding it in their hands, they could only drip blood on it. However, wouldn't that be seeking death? Every single emissary was very self-disciplined, and each of them took about 30 high-grade immortal equipment. I will endure, I will endure. Qin Yu felt helpless in his heart. I also have a high-grade immortal equipment space ring, the ring of the Lord of Black Flame. However, this secret still cannot be known to them. Hou Fei and Kuro also looked towards Qin Yu. Qin Yu understood the meaning in their eyes. His own two brothers also knew that he had the ring of the Lord of Black Flame. In terms of preciousness, a high-grade immortal equipment space ring even surpassed that set of top-grade immortal equipment battle armor just now. That was why Qin Yu did not dare to use it easily. At least, he still did not want to use it now. No need to rush. Now is not the time yet. We have only just entered Ni Yang's realm. There are still many treasures later. Qin Yu could only comfort himself like that. Meanwhile, at that moment, the four great emissaries were already prepared to set off. Alright, according to Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's words, we now only need to follow this bluestone path, and continue to advance forward. Whoever reaches the end will be able to obtain that treasure. Ao Feng smiled and said, Of course, Brother Hua Yan's difficulty is at least 3 times higher than ours. At that moment, Hua Yan's expression was cold. Everyone remembered Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's words at the beginning, and his hostility towards the people from the immortal realm. Fortunately, Immortal Emperor Ni Yang was magnanimous, and did not directly use the restrictive spells to kill the immortal realm emissaries. Instead, he gave them a chance, although the difficulty had increased by 3 times. What are you saying so much for? Let's set off. Hua Yan said coldly. Immediately after, Hua Yan brought along Reverend Ming Shan and Shui Yu Yang, and directly set off towards the front. It was just that the speed of Hua Yan's group was not fast. It was obvious that they were extremely careful when walking. Soon after, the Dragon Clan, the side of the Loose Devils, as well as Man Gong and the others also began to set off. Senior Zong, you all go ahead first. We have something to discuss with Big Brother. Hou Fei greeted Zong Ju and the others. Qin Yu was also startled, and looked at Hou Fei and Kuro. Zong Ju looked at the 3 brothers, then nodded and said, Okay, you all go ahead and discuss first. We will be in front, you all should quickly catch up. Haha, you all will be safe in the back. We will be in front, and most likely have already scouted out all the dangers. Hou Fei and Kuro waited for Zong Ju and the others to leave, before Kuro opened his mouth. Big brother, there are still 3 days. What 3 days? Qin Yu looked at Kuro and Hou Fei. Kuro smiled bitterly and said, The day of Monkey's ascension is 3 days later. Although I am half a day late, when I ascend, because there is not much difference between me and Monkey, we will both be sucked into the upper realm. Qin Yu also knew about this principle. During the ascension, the upper realm would produce a special energy. If there were also people who were about to ascend around the ascension person, they would be sucked into the upper realm in advance. 3 days? Qin Yu felt a sense of urgency. How can it be so fast? Why didn't you tell me earlier? Didn't you say that you would only ascend after leaving Ni Yang's realm? Qin Yu seemed to be a little anxious. Ho Fei said helplessly, Big brother, when we didn't come to Ni Yang's realm at Snowfish Island, who knew that we would have to walk in the land of extreme peril's realm for 3 whole years? Mixed Hairbird and I estimated that we would only explore Ni Yang's realm for a year and a half. If it was really only a year and a half, Mixed Hairbird and I would only ascend after leaving Ni Yang's realm. But the time spent in the land of extreme peril's realm was too long. Kuro also nodded and said, in the last part of the land of extreme peril's realm of extreme peril, because everyone had to be careful of the blade chi and the spatial cracks, we couldn't be distracted, so we didn't tell you. Furthermore, when we entered the abyss of death, everyone was also nervous. Monkey and I didn't have the time to tell you about this. Now that we are slightly more free, we immediately told you about this matter. Qin Yu squeezed out a smile and nodded. 3 days, 3 days. Qin Yu let out a long sigh. Who would have thought that he only had 3 days to meet with his brothers? Big brother, promise me that you will definitely go to the demon realm to look for me. If I can't wait for you in the demon realm for 1,000 years, I will look for you in the entire higher realm. Xiao Hei looked at Qin Yu and said solemnly, You must definitely go to the demon realm to look for me. Could he promise? If he failed to create the stellar transformations, he reckoned that when he broke through to the stellar stage, he would immediately go mad or die. However, facing the expectant gazes of his 2 brothers, Qin Yu could only take a deep breath. Yes, I definitely will. Qin Yu nodded and promised. However, Ho Fei, Kuro, and Qin Yu all understood that this was only a verbal agreement. Whether Qin Yu could really create the next step of the stellar stage cultivation technique, whether he could successfully ascend to the higher realm, it was still hard to say. All right, big brother, the others have already set off. Let's hurry up and catch up. Ho Fei urged. Qin Yu nodded. At this moment, Qin Yu seemed to be a little absent-minded. Following the Bluestone Road, Qin Yu and his brothers kept rushing forward. Who would have thought that the Bluestone Road was ridiculously long? Qin Yu and his brothers traveled at an extremely fast speed for half a day before they met Zhongju and a group of people in front of them. Brother Qin Yu, you guys are really lucky. Just now, we have already encountered danger 3 times. Fortunately, everyone is more careful. Zhongju said to Qin Yu and his brothers. We are indeed very lucky. When Qin Yu and his brothers were chasing after them, they did not encounter any danger. Most of them were eliminated by the people in front of them. Converging with Zhongju and a large group of people, Qin Yu and his brothers' speed of advancement naturally slowed down. Those with high cultivation like Mangon, Huayan, Ao Feng and the others carefully explored the road in front, while those with low cultivation like Qin Yu and his brothers hurried on with peace of mind at the back. Qin Yu would occasionally chat with his 2 brothers. They cherished the last chance to be together in the mortal realm. As they advanced, the surrounding scenery changed from mountain forests to lakes, and even into swamps. However, no matter if it was a lake or a swamp, this Bluestone Road was actually steadily paved on the surface. This made Qin Yu and his brothers feel even more that this Ni Yang's realm was mysterious. Finally, they passed through the swamp region, and stepped into a building that looked like a palace gate. On both sides of the Bluestone Road leading to the palace gate, there were 2 lines of large words carved, Once you enter the Blue Clouds Road, ascend the 9 heavens alone. This place is most likely the legendary Blue Clouds Road. There is an 80 to 90% chance that the difficulty will be placed here. And the treasure is very likely to be above the 9 heavens. Ao Feng looked at the 2 lines of words, and said softly. Du Zhongju nodded and said, Immortal Emperor Ni Yang has already lowered the difficulty, and actually allowed us to directly arrive at the Blue Clouds Road. When His Majesty Blood Devil Emperor and the others arrived at the Blue Clouds Road, they had seen many incredible formations and restrictions. Ascend the 9 heavens alone? Could it be that only one person can ascend the 9 heavens, and what about the others? Zhongju instead stared at the last line and muttered to himself. Which one of those present was not an expert? When they heard Zhongju's muttering, the expressions of the other experts all changed. Ascend the 9 heavens alone, ascend. Man gone and the others could not help but stare at the last line. Chapter 293. Looking at that line of words, once entering the blue clouds road, ascending the 9 heavens alone, all the experts were somewhat shocked. Haha, everyone, stop making wild guesses. Since we have already entered Ni Yang's realm, it is too late to regret. What we can do is to try our best to survive in this Ni Yang's realm and at the same time obtain that treasure, Ao Feng said clearly. Instantly, Hua Yan, Zhong Ju, Du Zhongjun, and the other experts recovered from their thoughts. Brother Ao Feng is right. I want to see what kind of difficulties this Blue Clouds Road actually has. Man Gon strode through the palace gates and entered the interior. Yu Liang and Kong Chao both hurriedly followed. At the same time, Hua Yan, Du Zhongjun, Ao Feng, Zhong Ju, and the others also smiled as they entered in succession. Meanwhile, Qin Yu, Ho Fei, and Kuro were the last to enter. Qin Yu solemnly said to his two brothers, Fei, Xiao Hei, the time you have spent in the mortal realm is also not long. If this is too difficult, then you do not need to go through it, and can directly wait outside. After waiting for 1.5 days, you can directly ascend, and do not need to experience those dangers. From the Scattered Treasures Cliff to the palace at the Blue Clouds Road, they had indeed spent more than a day's time. Ho Fei and Kuro pondered for a moment, then nodded. In any case, they only had 1.5 days in the mortal realm, so why should they risk their lives and charge downwards? Big brother, let's go. Since we are about to ascend, we should properly tour this immortal Emperor Ni Yang's realm before we ascend. When we reach the higher realms, we might not have the chance to see this place, Ho Fei said with a chuckle. Immediately after, Qin Yu and his brothers also entered the palace gates. With one step, they entered the palace gates. Qin Yu then saw Ao Feng, Zhong Ju, Man Gon, and the others in front. Obviously, these people were all shocked by everything in front of them. Meanwhile, Qin Yu carefully looked at the scenery in front of him, and was similarly shocked. The buildings in front of them were all made of white jade, sparkling and translucent. This was a small white jade plaza. At the end of the small white jade plaza was a jade bridge formed by green jade. The jade bridge was slanted at a 45-degree angle towards the sky, as if it was connected to a certain palace in the sky. Around the green jade bridge, there were also many green clouds shrouding it. It was impossible to see what was inside the green jade bridge with the naked eye. Wow! Ho Fei's eyes lit up. What is this blue crystal? From the white jade square where we are now to somewhere high up in the sky. Since it's connected to such a distant place, this jade bridge should be thousands of miles long. Qin Yu and Kuro were also overjoyed. It was indeed a great pleasure to be able to enjoy such beautiful scenery. However, this beautiful scenery contained endless danger. Brother Qin Yu, the jade bridge formed by the wood elemental crystal is the so-called Blue Clouds Road of Ni Yang's realm. Man Qian walked to Qin Yu's side and said with a smile, the other end of the Blue Clouds Road is almost 10,000 miles away from here. Qin Yu recalled those two sentences. Once you enter the Azure Clouds Road, you will ascend the 9 heavens alone. Brother Man Qian, could it be that the other end of this Blue Clouds Road is the 9 heavens? Qin Yu guessed. Man Qian smiled and said, smart. That's right, the end of this Blue Clouds Road is the 9 heavens. The 9 heavens is the core region of Ni Yang's realm. Back then, immortal Emperor Ni Yang usually resided in the 9 heavens. However, there are still many wonderful places within Ni Yang's realm. It's just that immortal Emperor Ni Yang directly allowed us to come here from the realm of clear mind this time, without any restrictions along the way. Qin Yu understood in his heart. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's old lair, its degree of danger was such that even a level 1 mystic immortal would die, let alone a level 1 golden immortal. This immortal Emperor Ni Yang probably also knew that many of the difficulties within Ni Yang's realm were too dangerous, and that was why he removed many of the difficulties. He only left behind 2 or 3 of them. Suddenly, a blinding white light was emitted from not far away, and everyone, including Qin Yu, could not help but look towards that direction. That green jade bridge was connected to the white jade square, and connected to one end of the white jade square. However, there were buildings on both sides. On the left side of the jade bridge's bridgehead, there was a white jade sculpture. That appearance of the sculpture looking towards the sky with its hands behind its back naturally had a kind of grandeur that made people submit. It's about the same as that sculpture outside the Nine Swords Immortal Abode's treasure storage pavilion. It's a sculpture of the same person, Qin Yu determined in an instant. Meanwhile, on the right side of the jade bridge's bridgehead, was the source of that blinding white light. Earlier, that place was merely a white jade stone tablet, and only the 3 words Blue Clouds Road were written on it. Why is it emitting such a shocking brilliance now? Mangon asked doubtfully. The experts on the scene all had doubts in their hearts, but no one dared to act rashly. Following the passage of time, that white light began to retract. In merely a moment, that white jade stone tablet returned to its western appearance, except that a halo of light was circulating on its surface. At the same time, there were also quite a number of densely packed words that appeared on it. Qin Yu's heart jumped when he saw that line of words. Very obviously, that was a message left behind by Immortal Emperor Ni Yang. To ascend the 9 heavens, one must pass through the Blue Clouds Road. Only one person can pass through the Blue Clouds Road at a time. Only when that person successfully passes through or fails and dies, then the next person can once again step onto the Blue Clouds Road. If 2 people step onto the Blue Clouds Road at the same time, those 2 people will undoubtedly die. Reaching the 9 heavens will then be rewarded with great treasures. In merely a moment, that line of words disappeared without a trace. Before everyone could speak, a few more lines of words once again appeared on that white jade stone tablet. The Blue Clouds Road is long and dangerous. At the side of the plaza, there are finest grade elemental spirit stones. Those who enter Ni Yang's realm can use finest grade elemental spirit stones to replenish their power consumption. If there are immortal realm emissaries, they should give up early and rest in this white jade plaza. Otherwise, if they enter, they will most likely die. Those few lines of words disappeared again in a moment, and no more words appeared after that. After reading those words, everyone on the scene was silent for a long time. They completely understood why it was called Ascending the 9 Heavens Alone. It was not that only one person could survive, but that everyone had to rely on their own abilities to pass through the Blue Clouds Road. Those who could pass through the Blue Clouds Road would be able to reach the 9 heavens. If they failed, then they would definitely die. Only one person can enter the Blue Clouds Road at a time, and 2 people will definitely die. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's message is really scary. Mangon said with a chuckle. In terms of power, he was the strongest on the scene, and he believed that he had the greatest chance of passing through the Blue Clouds Road. Meanwhile, at that moment, the Dragon Clan's elder Ao Su said in surprise. Just now, it was said that there were finest grade elemental spirit stones at the side of the plaza. Why aren't there any? That's right, there aren't any. The others had also discovered that matter. Since those words had appeared on that white jade tablet, and said that there were finest grade elemental spirit stones at the side of the plaza for everyone to replenish their power consumption, logically speaking, there should be some. However, the people on the scene did not see any finest grade elemental spirit stones. Qin Yu, who was not far away, was instead smiling bitterly. When he saw that line of words saying that there were finest grade elemental spirit stones, he was the first to carefully observe the white jade plaza with excitement. The white jade plaza's area was only a few tens of meters in length and width, and was not large. Qin Yu could clearly see every place with a glance, but he basically did not see any finest grade elemental spirit stones. If there were finest grade elemental spirit stones, my sword immortal puppet would have sufficient energy, and naturally could be used frequently. Qin Yu secretly sighed in his heart. Hua Yen, Du Zhongjun, Yen Fan and the others all frowned. Since Immortal Emperor Ni Yang said that there were finest grade elemental spirit stones, and also so obviously said that there were, then there definitely would be. However, there are none now. Could it be that someone came to Ni Yang's realm in advance, and took away the finest grade elemental spirit stones? Hua Yan's facial expression changed. The facial expressions of Man Gone and the others also changed. Someone entered Ni Yang's realm in advance? Impossible, it is absolutely impossible for someone to enter in advance. We were only able to enter because we had the Sundering the Heavens diagrams. How could other people enter in advance without the Sundering the Heavens diagrams? Du Zhongjun was unable to accept that matter. Hua Yan coldly said, "Do not forget how Qin Yu entered. If he had a way to enter, others might also have a way to enter." Everyone looked towards Qin Yu. That's right, Qin Yu did not have the Sundering the Heavens diagrams, but not only had he found Ni Yang's realm, he had also brought people in. If Qin Yu could do it, then others might not necessarily be unable to do so. Everyone. Qin Yu smiled as he spoke. I, Qin Yu, dare to guarantee one thing. In this world, there are only two ways to enter Ni Yang's realm. One is to rely on the Sundering the Heavens diagrams, while the other is my method. Other people would definitely not be able to enter. Unless... Qin Yu muttered to himself. Unless what? Man Gone, Hua Yan, and the others looked at Qin Yu. Unless he is immortal Emperor Ni Yang himself, Qin Yu smiled and said confidently. Perhaps only he was clear that in the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion, one could only rely on the Lord of Black Flame's ring and the 3 pieces of Sundering the Heavens diagrams to enter Ni Yang's realm. He had the Lord of Black Flame's ring, while the Dragon Clan and the other 2 parties had the Sundering the Heavens diagrams. How could other people enter? Ha ha. Man Gone laughed. The meaning of Qin Yu's words was very clear. Absolutely no one else would be able to enter in advance. Alright, don't let your imagination run wild. Even if someone entered in advance, they might not be able to pass through Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's trials. What we need to do now is, who will be the first to challenge the Road of Blue Clouds, and who will be the last? Man Gone looked at everyone. Who will be the first to challenge? Who will be the last to challenge? Hua Yan, Du Zhongjun, Ao Feng, Zhongju, Fong Tian, and the others were all pondering in their hearts. The first person to challenge would be the test stone. However, there was also a possibility of being the first to reach the 9 heavens. The benefits naturally did not need to be mentioned. However, the first person would also be in the most danger, because he would be completely ignorant of the dangers of the Road of Blue Clouds. The last person to challenge would be tested by the people in front, so the last person would be much safer. However, the last person to arrive could possibly have all the benefits taken away by others. My person will be the first to challenge, Hua Yan said with a smile. No. Du Zhongjun, Ao Feng, and the others said almost simultaneously. Your subordinate can, but you cannot be the first to challenge, Man Gone said while looking at Hua Yan. At that moment, Du Zhongjun and Ao Feng also nodded in agreement. Other than the 6 great experts present, Man Gone and the other emissaries from the upper realm did not care about the others like Reverend Ming Shan and the others. If Reverend Ming Shan and the others were able to obtain treasures, then that would be a strange matter. Alright, my subordinate will go first, Hua Yan said with a smile. Ao Feng nodded and said, how about this, the first round will be 1 person from each side. However, the emissaries, Zhongju, and Fong Tian definitely cannot be the first to set off. How about this? Ao Feng looked at everyone. The other 3 emissaries from the upper realm, as well as Fong Tian and Zhongju, all nodded. Senior Ao Feng, please stop for a moment. Qin Yu took a few steps forward. Brother Qin Yu, what is the matter? Ao Feng inquired. Qin Yu's face had a trace of bleakness as he said, my 2 brothers, which are Ho Fei and Kuro, have already reached the Deshang stage. Moreover, there is only a little more than a day's time before they ascend. With such a short amount of time, I also do not wish for my 2 brothers to take risks. At the same time, I also wish to have a good gathering with my 2 brothers. That is why everyone will first go to the Road of Blue Clouds, and I will be the last. Ao Feng, Du Zhongjun, and the others looked at Ho Fei and Kuro in surprise, and all nodded. With their eyesight, they could all see that Ho Fei and Kuro were about to ascend, but the energy within their bodies had already been completely converted into demonic elemental energy. "All right, brother Qin Yu, you will be the last. Have a good gathering with your brothers," Ao Feng directly said. The other emissaries also did not have any objections. From their point of view, being the last to attempt was originally not worth fighting over. Moreover, Qin Yu's martial power was weak, and no one treated Qin Yu as a competitor. Qin Yu, Ho Fei, and Kuro immediately walked to one end of the plaza. Meanwhile, Mangon and the other 5 great heads discussed with each other, and finally decided on the order of the people who would attempt the road of blue clouds. At the same time, everyone left their soul jade slips in the White Jade Plaza, and the first person to obtain the opportunity to attempt the road of blue clouds was the lucky Reverend Ming Shan. Ming Shan, if you are the first to reach the 9 heavens, and are even lucky enough to obtain that treasure, then your future prospects will definitely be limitless. You must not fail to live up to my expectations, and also cannot fail to live up to Emperor Yu's expectations, Hua Yan entrusted. Reverend Ming Shan's expression was a little bitter. The first person to attempt the road of blue clouds was definitely the most dangerous one. However, did Reverend Ming Shan and the others have the qualifications to go against the arrangements of the 6 great heads? Senior Hua Yan, do not worry. I will definitely work hard. Reverend Ming Shan took a deep breath, and then directly walked towards the road of blue clouds. He stepped onto the green jade bridge, which was also the road of blue clouds. That road of blue clouds directly led to the 9 heavens, and at the same time, the surroundings were covered with blue clouds. Reverend Ming Shan had only walked for a short while, and no one on the plaza could hear Reverend Ming Shan's voice. At that moment, everyone was using their ears to listen carefully. Roar! A low roar came from within the road of blue clouds, and immediately, the soul jade slip that corresponded to Reverend Ming Shan lying in the White Jade Plaza shattered with a pang. Reverend Ming Shan is dead. The second person, Brother Du, should be your man, Ao Feng said coldly, and looked towards Du Zhongjun at the same time. At that moment, there was only one person under Du Zhongjun who was still alive, and that was Wu Hei. Du Zhongjun turned his head to look at Wu Hei behind him. Wu Hei's expression was somewhat unsightly. Just now, Reverend Ming Shan had died too quickly, so quickly that it made people's hearts palpitate. The road of blue clouds was very long, but Reverend Ming Shan had only advanced a short distance before he died. Everyone had only heard the roar of a beast. Wu Hei, you must work hard. If you are able to survive, I will definitely let you practice some special techniques of the Black Devil Path, Du Zhongjun said solemnly. Yes, Lord Blood Devil. Wu Hei nodded, and then gathered his courage to step onto the road of blue clouds. Chapter 294. Watching Wu Hei walk into the blue clouds road from afar, under the cover of the blue clouds, it was impossible to see what Wu Hei had encountered in the blue clouds road. However, after a short while, that beast roar sounded again. Wu Hei. Another one seeking death, Ho Fei said softly beside Qin Yu. Qin Yu also nodded. The blue clouds road was almost 10,000 miles long, and Reverend Ming Shan had only entered for a short while before dying. Qin Yu dared to confirm that Reverend Ming Shan had not even reached 1/10 of the journey. In other words, Reverend Ming Shan had died before encountering any real danger. This Wu Hei, how much stronger was he compared to Reverend Ming Shan? Roar. An extremely angry roar sounded, but it weakened after a short while. Almost at the same time, Du Zhongjun, Mangon and the others looked towards Wu Hei's soul jade slip on the ground. Wu Hei's soul jade slip was in good condition and had not shattered at all. Wu Hei seems to have passed through the first hurdle of the blue clouds road. Mangon smiled and looked towards Du Zhongjun. Du Zhongjun, perhaps that Wu Hei has a stroke of luck and can really reach the other end of the blue clouds road, the 9 heavens. Du Zhongjun only smiled. How could the blue clouds road be so easy to pass? That roar just now could be heard even by the people at the White Jade Plaza. It was obvious that the location of the battle was very close to the White Cloud Plaza. Whether Wu Hei can reach the 9 heavens, that is hard to say. However, he has at least walked further than Ming Shan, Du Zhongjun said with an indifferent smile. At the same time, he glanced at Hua Yan, seemingly very pleased with himself. Hua Yan was expressionless, and only quietly listened to the sounds coming from the Blue Clouds Road. Yes, the sound of energy colliding, Ao Feng said with a frown. At the beginning, it was a beast roar. Could it be that there are demonic beasts at the front of the Blue Clouds Road? And now there are energy collisions. Looks like there are still living people in Ni Yang's realm. Even if it was a demonic beast that could kill Reverend Ming Shan would definitely have cultivated into a human body and possessed human intelligence. Ni Yang's realm wasn't filled with a lifeless aura. It also had living demonic beasts and living humans within it. Man Gon also frowned as he nodded and said, "Yes, there might be subordinates of immortal Emperor Ni Yang in Ni Yang's realm back then." That's not right. Not right. Man Qian's eyes suddenly brightened, as he pondered in his heart. Back then, when immortal Emperor Ni Yang entered the mortal realm from that place, he definitely did not have a single subordinate. Where did the current subordinates come from? Where did that beast roar come from? Man Qian quietly pondered. Could it be that they are the people that immortal Emperor Ni Yang took in from the mortal realm back then? Impossible. Those people must ascend when they reach the Ascension realm. Don't tell me it's Wan. Man Gon's eyes lit up. At that moment, Ao Feng also gave Man Gon a strange smile. Man Gon also sneered at Ao Feng. As for Hua Yan and Du Zhongjun, they simply did not know where this beast roar came from. Brother Ao Feng, you want to compete with me for this? Man Gon directly used the transmission talisman to send a message. He did not want Du Zhongjun and Hua Yan to know that that thing was actually also within Ni Yang's realm. Brother Man Gon, let's not talk about that. Isn't it just that scroll? I'm sure you can guess what kind of treasure it is. This really surprised me. This scroll was actually in Ni Yang's realm. This was a surprise that came out of nowhere. Other than the treasure that the big shots of the immortal, devil and demon realms coveted. In the entire Ni Yang's realm, this scroll is at least ranked second. I had even thought that immortal Emperor Ni Yang would bestow this scroll to a fated person. I did not expect that it was actually left behind in Ni Yang's realm. If I obtain it... even if I, Ao Feng, am a golden dragon, my position within the dragon clan can also be compared to a 5-clawed golden dragon. Ao Feng's message clearly indicated that Ao Feng was determined to obtain the scroll. Alright, you want to obtain it, and I also want to obtain it. When that time comes, we will have to see our true abilities. Man Gon said through the transmission talisman. Ao Feng also gave Man Gon an indifferent smile. However, Ao Feng had an idea in his heart. Currently, the big shots of the immortal, devil and demon realms have all broken through the barriers between the two realms, and allowed the emissaries of the realms to descend to the mortal realm to seize that plaything. Even if I do not obtain it, it would not be considered a capital offense. Why not? Use that trump card to fight for this scroll. Once I have it, my position can definitely undergo an earth-shattering change. The 4 great emissaries of the higher realms were all fighting for that legendary treasure for their respective leaders. However, even if they obtained it, they would still have to give it to their own leaders. They did not have any benefits. That was why it would be better to bear the crime of incompetence, and instead obtain that scroll. Using that trump card to fight for the scroll, Ao Feng's selfishness was already very heavy. Ao Feng could not be blamed. After all, that treasure's fame was too great. If it was in the immortal, devil and demon realm, how could a person at Ao Feng's level possibly touch such a treasure? If I obtain it, my power can definitely increase by more than 10 times. Ao Feng's heart began to tremble. His desire to fight for that scroll had already reached its peak. He was excited, but how could Man Gon not be excited? Currently, only the two of them had guessed the existence of that scroll, while Hua Yan and Du Zhongjun still did not know. Pang! A clear sound similar to a jade piece exploding rang out in the white jade plaza. Wu Hei's corresponding soul jade slip finally cracked open. A full 6 hours. Wu Hei had entered the Blue Clouds Road for 6 hours before he died. The side of the loose immortals and loose devils have already dispatched people. It should be your dragon clan's turn. Man Gone smiled as he looked towards Ao Feng. Ao Feng said very indifferently, "Elder Yen Shan, I will have to trouble you to take action." The Dragon Clan's 3 great elders, Yen Shan, Ao Su, and Ao Yen. However, Ao Yen had already died during the battle at the Scattered Treasures Cliff. Only Yen Shan and Ao Su, the 2 great elders, remained. Yen Shan was a silver dragon at the 12th Tribulation Loose Demon Realm, while Ao Su was a black dragon at the 11th Tribulation Loose Demon Realm. Yen Shan's power was obviously a notch higher. Compared to Reverend Ming Shan and Wu Hei, a silver dragon at the 12th Tribulation was the strongest. Elder Yen Shan, be careful. Fong Tian instructed Yen Shan. Clan leader, Lord Emissary, please do not worry. Yen Shan said with a smile, then calmly walked into the Blue Clouds Road. Man Gone smiled faintly and said, "Brother Ao Feng, I see that this elder Yen Shan of yours is still very strong. At least, he is much stronger than Wu Hei. I believe that he should be able to pass through the Blue Clouds Road. Whether he passes or not will depend on his personal power. It is useless to say it now." Ao Feng said with a faint smile. At that moment, the 2 people had already begun to secretly fight. For that scroll, they would not hesitate to kill the other party. Man Gone looked at Ao Feng, and sneered in his heart. His Majesty is really generous this time. Perhaps my identity as the super divine beast, Purple-Eyed Bull Demon King, has taken effect, to actually bestow a low-grade divine equipment to me. Although it is the lowest grade of offensive low-grade divine equipment, it is still much more powerful than a finest-grade immortal equipment. If I obtain that scroll, my power will at least increase by 10 times or more. When that time comes, there will also be more hope for me to fight for that treasure that His Majesty needs. At that moment, Man Gone was completely unable to calm down. He was constantly thinking about that scroll. From Man Gone's perspective, that scroll was really too precious to the extreme. After all, that was a scroll that even the big shots of various worlds had vainly tried to obtain at that time. It was just that immortal Emperor Ni Yang had obtained it in the end. Big brother, it has already been more than 6 hours, and that Dragon Clan elder is still not dead. Looks like he has a very high chance of passing through. Ho Fei was extremely relaxed in his heart. After all, he was currently only waiting for ascension. Qin Yu, however, did not say anything. "Fei, Xiaohei, do you feel that Man Gone and Ao Feng's aura is a little chaotic?" Qin Yu said in a low voice. Those 3 brothers were whispering at one end of the White Jade Plaza, while Hua Yan, Ao Feng and the others at the center of the White Jade Plaza also did not have any ideas. Yes, Man Gone and Ao Feng do not have the same calm appearance as before. It is as if the 2 of them are tigers choosing to devour people, and have a kind of crazy aura. Ho Fei looked carefully, and then said in a low voice. Qin Yu also nodded. Hua Yan, Du Zhongjun, Zhongju and Fong Tian also felt the changes in Ao Feng and Man Gone's aura. "Hey, brother Ao Feng. We have not even started to fight for that thing. Even if you obtain it, it will also be for the Dragon Emperor. Is there a need for you to have such a crazy look? You are a little too excited." Du Zhongjun spoke out. Ao Feng took a deep breath, and said with a smile, "Seeing that we are about to reach the 9 heavens, I am a little excited. Sigh, the cultivation of my temperament is still not enough. Brother Man Gone, your power is the strongest. There is no need to be too nervous." Zhongju said softly. Man Gone also tried hard to suppress the surging emotions in his heart, and only nodded. Calm. If anyone else on the scene knew about the existence of that scroll, they would not be calm, and would also be unable to calm down. Pang! A clear shattering sound rang out once again. Yen Shan is dead. Ao Su's expression changed, and the faces of many experts were also a little ugly. Among the three great elders of the Dragon Clan, Yen Shan's power was ranked first, and was even comparable to Reverend Ming Liang and Wu Kong Shui at that time. If even Yen Shan was dead, the difficulty of this Blue Cloud's road could be imagined. The Dragon Clan has passed, it should be the Wilderness Demon Clan's turn. Ao Feng looked towards Man Gon. Man Gon slowly said, Kong Chao, it is up to you. Yes, my lord. Kong Chao really did not have much confidence in his heart, but he still accepted the order and stepped onto the Blue Cloud's road. The nine-headed snake Kong Chao was the head of the three great demons under Yu Liang's command. The strength of his power was second only to Yu Liang in the wilderness. However, even if that was so, Kong Chao still did not have much confidence in his heart. Seeking death. Hua Yen said with a light smile. Du Zhongjun also nodded in agreement. In the eyes of the six great leaders, their subordinates were seeking death. Moreover, at the final 9 heavens, there would definitely be many treasures. They also did not want their subordinates to snatch away large amounts of treasures. As expected, after close to 8 hours, Kong Chao's soul jade slip also shattered. One expert after another died, causing the atmosphere on the scene to become somewhat oppressive. Next should be your people, Zhongju. Hua Yen looked towards Zhongju. At that moment, Zhongju only had one person under his command, the petrification beast, Petrify. Zhongju gave Petrify a glance, and helplessly said, Petrify, your divine ability is still rather special. If you are lucky, there is still a chance of survival. Petrify only nodded, and then stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road. Why do I feel that the Blue Clouds Road is a dead end? Qin Yu looked at that Blue Clouds Road that was close to 10,000 kilometers long, leading to the 9 heavens. That Blue Clouds Road, which was surrounded by countless blue clouds, had a kind of oppressive feeling in his heart. At the end of that Blue Clouds Road, it was like a large bloody mouth. Roar. That familiar roar once again sounded. However, in just an instant, that roar disappeared. Petrify passed the first stage so quickly. Hua Yen said with a smile. Beside him, Du Zhongjun also echoed. At that moment, only Hua Yen and the other super experts were slightly more relaxed. The others were very nervous. After 6 hours, the soul jade slip, belonging to Petrify, once again exploded. This represented that the soul of another expert had been scattered. What a pity! Hua Yen sighed and said, In the beginning, it was from the side of the loose immortals to the side of the chaotic astral ocean. Now, it should be reversed, from the side of the chaotic astral ocean to the side of the loose immortals. In the chaotic astral ocean, there is no one under Zhongju's command. It should be time for the people of the ancient wasteland demon race to take action. Shut up, I know the rules. Man Gon looked towards the only person under his command, Yu Liang. Yu Liang, do not disappoint me. Man Gon said in a low voice. Rest assured, Your Excellency. Yu Liang said with a faint smile and a bow. This Yu Liang's aura was clearly different. The divine beast, heavenly rat, of the 12th tribulation loose demon realm, and a high-level divine beast. In terms of power, he was definitely the strongest one from the beginning until now. Once Yu Liang stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road, his figure instantly disappeared. It can't be, don't tell me that this Yu Liang wants to rely on speed to directly rush to the other end of the Blue Clouds Road in one breath? Du Zhongjun said in surprise. Ao Feng nodded and praised. Perhaps he really can succeed. After all, this Yu Liang's original body is a heavenly rat. With his speed, I reckon that among us, only Brother Zhongju can suppress him. And at that moment, Qin Yu's group of 3 stood up, because Ho Fei and Kuro were about to ascend. Big brother. Kuro looked at Qin Yu, his eyes moist. How old are you already, yet you still look like this? All right. Big brother promises you, no matter what, I will definitely go to the demon realm to find you all. Qin Yu's heart was also full of bitterness. When he was young, without the care of his father, he and the similarly lonely Xiao He depended on each other for survival. How many years has it been? The relationship between him and Xiao He was definitely comparable to the relationship between blood brothers. The sky above actually began to vibrate, and a special kind of energy began to cover the entire Ni Yang's realm. When faced with this kind of energy, all the restrictions in the Ni Yang's realm were unable to stop it. That was the energy of the heavens. At that moment, Man Gong, Zhongju, Hua Yan and the others then looked towards Qin Yu's group. They saw the three brothers' reluctance to part, and knew that Hou Fei and Kuro were really about to ascend. "Big brother, you must go to the demon realm to find us," Hou Fei said solemnly. Qin Yu could only nod his head. Rays of brilliance shot down from the sky, and directly enveloped Hou Fei and Kuro. Hou Fei and Kuro, who were enveloped by that dazzling brilliance, were instead staring at Qin Yu. In their hearts, they were anticipating that Qin Yu would succeed in creating the stellar transformations technique and be able to successfully ascend. "I will definitely go and find you all," Qin Yu said resolutely in his heart. The three brothers stared at each other. Hou Fei and Kuro both began to rise into the sky. That energy enveloping their entire bodies became more and more powerful, and in just a short while, the two of them completely turned into two balls of white light. The space shook, and the two of them disappeared. Xiao He, Fei. Qin Yu's heart was completely cold. His entire heart was ice cold, and it froze the depths of his heart. That Xiao He, who appeared cold on the surface, but was as close as a brother to him, had left. That Fei, who appeared to be cheerful on the surface, but also treated him as a brother, had also left. Li Er has left. Xiao He and Fei have also left. Big brother and second brother have their own relatives. Father also has big brother, second brother, Uncle Feng and a group of people together. Only I am alone. At that moment, Qin Yu felt an unprecedented loneliness. Chapter 295. A cool breeze blew past his face, and his hair fluttered. Qin Yu's gaze was misty. "I obtained the treasures left behind by Uncle Lan in Ni Yang's realm, then went into seclusion to comprehend and create the stellar transformations technique. Strive to ascend as soon as possible." Qin Yu said to himself in his heart, "Royal father, eldest brother, and second brother all have relatives to take care of them, so I am also at ease. Only Li Er, and those two brothers of mine." Although Qin Yu's body was still in Ni Yang's realm, his heart was already no longer there. "Brother Qin Yu, do not be too sad. The ascension of those two brothers of yours is the laws of heaven and earth, and cannot be obstructed at all. Moreover, you have also reached the Deshang stage, and will be able to ascend soon." Man Gong walked over and comforted him. The expression on Qin Yu's face was somewhat bleak. When he heard what Man Gong said, Qin Yu only tried his best to squeeze out a smile. "That's right, I will also be able to ascend soon." That was what he said to Man Gong, and was also what he said to himself. However, if he was unable to create the next level of technique, how would he enter the next realm? Qin Yu's fists could not help but clench tightly. Man Gong looked at Qin Yu's expression, and did not disturb Qin Yu any further, and let Qin Yu be alone in silence. At that moment, there were still 9 people alive: Hua Yan, Shui Yang, Du Zhongjun, Ao Feng, Fong Tian, Ao Su, Zhongju, Man Gong, as well as Qin Yu. Other than Qin Yu, the other 8 people were all waiting for the results of Yu Liang challenging the Blue Clouds Road. Dead? Alive? For the time being, no one could be certain. "Brother Du, this Yu Liang's ability is the strongest among those who entered the Blue Clouds Road. How long do you think he can last? Is there that Dragon Clan's elder Yan Shan?" Hua Yan said with a smile. Du Zhongjun muttered to himself for a moment, then said, "How long can he last? He should be able to catch up to Dragon Clan's elder Yan Shan." "That's right, Elder Yan Shan seems to have lasted close to 8 hours. Even if Yu Liang fails, he should last for at least more than 8 hours. Yu Liang has only entered for an hour. It is still too early to discuss now." Man Chen laughed. Suddenly, Man Chen frowned. Man Qian took out a piece of transmission talisman, and the smile on his face suddenly bloomed. Success. Man Gon laughed loudly. Haha, Yu Liang has already successfully reached the other end. He has succeeded. What? Hua Yan, Du Zhongjun, Ao Feng, Fong Tian, Zhongju and the other experts were all shocked. Even Qin Yu, who was sitting at the corner of the White Jade Plaza, was startled awake. He could not help but look towards the group of people. There was a complacent smile on Man Gon's face. Listen well, I said that Yu Liang had already successfully crossed the Blue Clouds Road, and had even reached the 9 heavens. Impossible. It's only been an hour. How could it be so fast? Hua Yan is the first to refute. Just now, Dragon Clan's elder Yen Shan, as well as your subordinates, Kong Chao and the others, all persisted for more than 6 hours, but in the end, they all failed. Brother Hua Yan should not be too arbitrary. Zhongju voiced out. Everyone looked towards Zhongju, and Zhongju asked in return. Dare I ask everyone, could it be that everyone has forgotten the reaction of that Yu Liang when he first stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road? Almost everyone recalled that scene. When Yu Liang had just stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road, his entire person had instantly disappeared. It was obvious that he had rushed towards the other end at an extremely fast speed. Even though the Blue Clouds Road was filled with obstacles, in the end, Yu Liang only used an hour to pass through the Blue Clouds Road. Speed. Zhongju nodded and said. Compared to the other people who entered the Blue Clouds Road with caution, Yu Liang instead used his speed to rush through the Blue Clouds Road. That is why it is not strange for him to succeed in an hour. Meanwhile, at that moment, the eyes of the 2 remaining Pathfinders, Shui Yu Yang and the Dragon Clan's elder Ao Su both had a glimmer of light. Saying that those 2 people were Pathfinders was not wrong. In the eyes of Man Gon and the others, perhaps only Man Gon, Hua Yan, Du Zhongjun, Fong Tian, Zhongju and Ao Feng had the qualifications to fight for the treasure. The others were merely Pathfinders and cannon fodder type characters. Man Gon looked towards Ao Feng and said with a smile, Brother Ao Feng, my subordinates have already passed. Now, it should be the turn of your Dragon Clan's people. Ao Feng nodded. According to the original rules, the next person should be Ao Su. Wait a moment. Hua Yan suddenly frowned and shouted, Brother Hua Yan, is there any problem? Everyone looked towards Hua Yan. Meanwhile, Qin Yu, who was sitting indifferently at a corner of the White Jade Plaza, was instead quietly watching that group of people in the center of the plaza arguing with each other. Qin Yu understood that those people did not place a Deshang stage cultivator in their eyes. However, Qin Yu was nevertheless very satisfied with that kind of situation happening. When Qin Yu heard their conversation, he secretly disagreed in his heart. Speed. Passing through this Blue Clouds Road does not only rely on speed. Listening to that beast roar, it is obvious that there are experts obstructing. That Yu Liang was able to pass through. Firstly, it is speed, and secondly, it is his valiant strength. Moreover, for a distance of 10,000 miles, if one only needs to pass through with speed, how could it possibly take an hour? What Qin Yu was thinking in his heart, Man Gon and the others naturally understood in their hearts. At that moment, everyone in the center of the plaza looked towards Hua Yan, questioning why he obstructed Ao Su from entering the Blue Clouds Road. Hua Yan smiled faintly and said, Just now Brother Man Gon said that Yu Liang had entered the Blue Clouds Road. However, that is only your side of the story. Who knows if it is true or false? If Yu Liang was still struggling within the Blue Clouds Road at that moment, if you let other people enter, wouldn't that be sending them to their deaths? Du Zhongjun, Ao Feng and the others felt fear in their hearts. At that moment, they also remembered the rules of the Blue Clouds Road. Only one person could enter. If 2 people were on the Blue Clouds Road, then those 2 people would undoubtedly die. Humph! Yu Liang's soul jade slip did not shatter. Moreover, he has already transmitted a message to me. You are still afraid that I will lie to you all? Man Gon sneered and said, Yu Liang's soul jade slip did not shatter. However, that does not mean that he has successfully passed through the Blue Clouds Road. That only means that Yu Liang is still not dead. You said that Yu Liang had successfully passed through, but do we have to trust you? Hua Yan asked in return. Man Gong was a little angry. He did not lie, but Hua Yan and the others did not believe him. A group of idiots. Humph, if you all do not dare to enter, then I will enter. Man Gong turned around angrily and was about to walk towards the Blue Clouds Road. Brother Man Gong need not be angry. Ao Feng immediately stopped Man Gong. No matter what, he could not let Man Gong enter first. If Man Gong entered first, then the scroll would very likely fall into Man Gong's hands. Man Gong looked coldly at Ao Feng. Could it be that Ao Feng, you did not see that they do not dare to enter? Ao Feng smiled and said, Brother Hua Yan, you all are also muddle-headed. If Man Gong wanted to frame someone, I reckon he would also frame us. Could it be that he wants to abandon Yu Liang, just to frame Elder Ao Su? Although those words had the intention of looking down on Ao Su, everyone present understood Ao Feng's inner meaning. Elder Ao Su was also someone who had cultivated for over 10,000 years, and had long become a wise person. Of course, he would not become angry because of those words. Moreover, Elder Ao Su had also deduced that Yu Liang had really successfully passed through. Looks like speed is still very useful. Ao Su already had a method to pass through the Blue Clouds Road in his heart. Lord Emissary, your subordinate will enter now. Elder Ao Su bowed and said, then stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road without hesitation. When Elder Ao Su had just stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road, his entire person disappeared in a flash. Obviously, Elder Ao Su also wanted to rely on extreme speed to pass through. At that time, if one were to say who was the most attentive to the sounds of Elder Ao Su crossing the Blue Clouds Road, that would be Shui Yu Yang, the next person to step onto the Blue Clouds Road. Everyone was waiting. If Elder Ao Su relied on speed to pass through, then accelerating to pass through would be feasible. Roar. The furious roar was extremely violent, and could be clearly heard in the White Jade Plaza. However, it was immediately followed by the sound of a dragon's roar. Elder Ao Su has transformed into his original form. Feng Tian was very certain. I hope that Elder Ao Su can successfully pass through. Feng Tian's heart was slightly uncomfortable. The Dragon Clan had 3 great elders. However, after entering Ni Yang's realm, 2 great elders had already died, and only 1 Elder Ao Su remained. If even Elder Ao Su died, then the Dragon Clan's apex experts would all be completely dead. Actually, it was not only the Dragon Clan. Many of the Loose Devils, Loose Immortals, and even the prehistoric Demon Clan's apex experts had all died. It could be said that in the battle of Ni Yang's realm, more than half of the mortal realm's super experts had died. Time passed by minute. 1 hour. There was no response. 2 hours. There was still no response. 4 hours had passed, and the Soul Jade Slip was still fine. However, there was still no news of Elder Ao Su successfully passing through. Just as everyone was quietly waiting, pang! A clear sound rang out, and that Soul Jade Slip that belonged to Ao Su broke into pieces. Feng Tian's face darkened. The Dragon Clan's last elder had also died. Shui Yu Yang's face also darkened. At first, he also wanted to rely on speed to quickly pass through the Blue Clouds Road. However, after seeing Elder Ao Su's result, very obviously, relying on speed would not work. Shui Yu Yang, do your best. Hua Yan entrusted. At this time, Hua Yan also did not have much confidence in Shui Yu Yang. Although Shui Yu Yang was a rather unique person, and his strength was also extremely strong. Compared to the Dragon Clan's strongest elder, Yen Shan, there was still a gap. With Yen Shan dead, would Shui Yu Yang be able to hold on? Shui Yu Yang bowed to Hua Yan and retreated. Soon after, he stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road. The moment he stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road, Shui Yu Yang paused slightly. Should he hasten his journey, or carefully and slowly advance? The moment he stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road, Shui Yu Yang hesitated. However, after a moment, Shui Yu Yang's body transformed into an afterimage and rushed forward with extreme speed. He had already made his choice, to learn from Yu Liang. In merely 4 hours. The sound of the soul jade slip shattering rang out once again. This sound also indicated that those cannon fodder and pathfinders, with the exception of Yu Liang, had all died. Now, it was the turn of the 6 big shots, Man Gong, Hua Yan, Du Zhongjun, Zhong Ju, Fong Tian, and Ao Feng, to enter the Blue Clouds Road. As for Qin Yu, although his strength was the weakest, because of Ao Feng and the others' promise at the beginning, he would be the last to step onto the Blue Clouds Road. 6 big shots, 4 emissaries from the higher realms. These emissaries from the higher realms all have powerful trump cards. They should all be able to pass through. However, Immortal Emperor Ni Yang had once said that for the emissaries from the immortal realm to successfully pass through, the difficulty would be extremely high. I reckon that Hua Yan will suffer. Qin Yu instantly made a judgment in his heart. According to the original setting, Sword Immortal Hua Yan would be the first to step onto the Blue Clouds Road. Hua Yan, if you pass through the Blue Clouds Road, you must immediately send a message to notify us. You must not pass through the Blue Clouds Road without notifying us, and instead make us wait here bitterly. Man Gong said coldly. Hua Yan smiled and said, "That is only natural. How can I be that kind of despicable person?" If Hua Yan passed through, but did not notify everyone, and made everyone wait bitterly, then he alone obtained the treasure. Then wouldn't Man Gong and the others have died unjustly? Ao Feng shook his head and said, "It is very difficult for us to believe you. That is why, before stepping onto the Blue Clouds Road, the 6 of us must all swear. Those who successfully pass through the Blue Clouds Road must wait for the others. When the 6 of us have all passed through the Blue Clouds Road, the 6 of us can then continue forward. Otherwise, we will receive punishment from the heavens, and our souls will be scattered." Right, the 6 of us must swear. Man Gong also said. The others, Zhong Ju, Fong Tian, and the others also looked at Hua Yan. Hua Yan's expression changed. He was the first to enter, and naturally had some advantages. However, the 5 of them were also like that. Hua Yan could only fake a smile and said, "That is only natural. Only this way can it be called fair." Immediately, the 6 great leaders all swore. Qin Yu watched from afar. "The 6 of you swore? Yet you did not mention me at all. Obviously, you did not treat me as a competitor." Qin Yu's face had a trace of an indifferent smile, and only looked at the 6 great leaders. Immediately after, Hua Yan took the lead and entered the Blue Clouds Road. Man Gong smiled and said, "The difficulty of the Immortal Realm emissary passing through the Blue Clouds Road is much greater than the others. I am really curious whether Hua Yan will be able to pass through alive. This is really hard to say." Du Zhongjun and the others also laughed. Time passed by. Ever since Hua Yan entered the Blue Clouds Road, the sounds of attacks and explosions were continuous. It was obviously much more intense than when the others entered. That caused Man Gong and the others to laugh in schadenfreude. After 2 hours. Boom! As if a sudden clap of thunder sounded beside his ear, even Qin Yu was shocked. That terrifying vibration came from within the Blue Clouds Road. That explosion actually caused the blue clouds surrounding the Blue Clouds Road to be scattered. However, in just a short moment, those blue clouds once again gathered around the Blue Clouds Road. What a powerful explosion! I am afraid it has the power of a level 8 or 9 golden immortal. Man Gong and the others looked at each other in shock. That Hua Yan should have used all his trump cards. Ao Feng smiled. Man Gong and the others had also used their trump cards. In just a short moment, "All right, I have passed." Hua Yan's transmission was transmitted over, and almost at the same time, Man Gong also nodded and said, "Yu Liang sent news." He saw that Hua Yan, whose face was covered in dust, had successfully reached the 9 heavens. Face covered in dust? Ao Feng smiled and said, After using his final trump card, Hua Yan's expression should also not look good. Immediately, those 5 people all laughed. Qin Yu, who was in the corner, stood up. Oh, he succeeded. I did not expect that Hua Yan would actually be able to survive such a great disaster. Qin Yu's entire person suddenly paused and looked towards a direction. In that instant, there was doubt, shock, disbelief, and excitement in his eyes. However, almost in an instant, Qin Yu once again returned to his usual appearance. Luckily, Man Gone and the others were in the center, and did not notice Qin Yu, who was in the corner. Naturally, they did not notice the sudden change in Qin Yu's eyes just now. Chapter 296. Excited and nervous. Those were Qin Yu's feelings at that moment. I did not expect that this white jade sculpture was actually the same as the sculpture in front of the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion's treasure storage pavilion. Qin Yu's heart was filled with excitement. That blue clouds road connected the 2 ends of the white jade plaza. On one side was the white jade sculpture, and on the other side was the stone tablet. Qin Yu did not discover anything special about that white jade sculpture in the beginning. However, when Qin Yu was sitting at the corner of the white jade plaza, and had just stood up, he glanced and saw the ring on the right hand hidden within the sleeve behind the white jade sculpture. That ring appeared to be sparkling and translucent white, exactly the same color as the white jade sculpture. Even if an ordinary person carefully looked at the sculpture, they would not notice the ring. Firstly, the ring's color was exactly the same as the sculpture's color. Secondly, the right hand with the ring was hidden behind the body's back, and the right hand hidden within the long sleeve was simply in a blind spot. Only the spot where Qin Yu had stood up could be seen, and the other positions could not be seen. Last time, it was the Lord of Black Flame's ring. This time, it should not be much different. What is the matter with this immortal Emperor Ni Yang? Why must he hide this ring on top of the sculpture? Qin Yu's heart became suspicious. There was a treasure hidden in such a hidden place. If Qin Yu had not been at the corner of the White Jade Plaza, if he had not casually glanced towards that direction when he stood up, he would not have discovered that ring at all. Qin Yu also did not expect that immortal Emperor Ni Yang would actually set up the same arrangement twice. No matter what, I cannot look at the sculpture now. If Du Zhongjun, Ao Feng and the others become suspicious, they will also discover this ring. They've also discovered this ring. This will be a bit troublesome. Qin Yu pretends to be as indifferent as he was at the beginning. Even if he had the sword Immortal Puppet, if he took it out and used it now, it would probably cause all the emissaries to join forces against him. Moreover, Qin Yu had also felt the fluctuations from Hua Yan's battle on the Blue Clouds Road just now. That great power had simply reached a shocking level. In Qin Yu's heart, a level 9 golden immortal puppet should also be at that level. That was the power of Hua Yan's trump card. Meanwhile, Man Gone, Ao Feng, Du Zhongjun and the others also had their own trump cards. Their power was estimated to not be much weaker. It was not suitable for him to take out his sword Immortal Puppet now. Only by taking the enemy by surprise and using the sword Immortal Puppet at the most crucial moment would the effects be the best. Qin Yu, what happened to you? Man Qian saw that Qin Yu seemed to be a little off, and walked over. Qin Yu's heart skipped a beat. Oh, it's nothing. Qin Yu said with a smile, it's just that. After seeing so many people die on the Blue Clouds Road, I'm a little worried about whether I'll be able to make it through the Blue Clouds Road alive. When Man Gone heard Qin Yu's words, he also felt relieved. Even the elders of the Dragon Tribe and a large group of experts had failed and their souls had scattered. It was normal for Qin Yu, who was only at the Deshang stage, to feel uneasy. Brother Qin Yu. Man Gone patted Qin Yu on the shoulder and comforted him. This Blue Clouds Road is indeed very dangerous. I see that you've already reached the Deshang stage. Why don't you immediately stay here and wait until it's time for you to ascend? When that time comes, you can directly ascend. Man Gone also had good intentions. He also did not have much confidence in Qin Yu making it through the Blue Clouds Road. I will consider it. Qin Yu nodded and said, However, at that moment, Qin Yu was actually worried in his heart. That was because Qin Yu was currently standing at a corner of the White Jade Plaza, while Man Gone was standing right beside him. If Man Gone walked to that special spot and looked in the direction of the White Jade sculpture, it was very likely that he would discover the White Jade sculpture's ring. Go. Why aren't you leaving after saying that? Qin Yu urged in his heart. Sigh, Brother Qin Yu, I really can't understand why that elder from your sect allowed you to enter Ni Yang's realm. Isn't using this to test you to send you to your death? Man Gone also had nothing to do at that moment, and instead started chatting with Qin Yu. Qin Yu calmly took a step forward and occupied that special spot where he could see the ring, then he started to deal with Man Gone. Meanwhile, at that moment, the Dragon Tribe's clan leader, Fong Tian, had also stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road. Brother Man Gone, there are currently 2 super experts from the Dragon Tribe. One is Fong Tian, and the other is Ao Fong. Who do you think is stronger? Qin Yu casually asked a question. Qin Yu had also pondered about that question before. Man Gone was stunned. That. I think it should be Fong Tian. Fong Tian? Qin Yu asked doubtfully. Isn't that Ao Fong the Dragon Tribe's emissary from the higher realm? Why is he instead unable to catch up to Fong Tian? Man Gone said with certainty. Is there even a need to ask? That Ao Fong is merely a level 1 demon king. Although Fong Tian is only a level lower than him, due to the bloodline of the super divine beast, the 5-clawed golden dragon, his own abilities are definitely not weaker than Ao Feng's. At the same time, Fong Tian is a 5-clawed golden dragon. His potential and position in the eyes of the Dragon Tribe from the higher realm are much more important than Ao Feng's. I think the most powerful trump card that the Dragon Tribe had Ao Fong bring down is most likely already in Fong Tian's hands. I see. Qin Yu nodded and replied. Those who had not entered the demon realm would definitely not be able to imagine just how high the position of a super divine beast was in the demon realm. That was basically the most important thing in the demon realm. That was also the reason why Du Zhongjun and the others were shocked when they saw Man Gone descending to the lower realm. Fong Tian passed? Man Gone was greatly shocked when he saw the news from the transmission talisman. Qin Yu was also shocked. That was the time it took to brew a cup of tea, which was even shorter than the time it took for Yu Liang to pass through the Blue Clouds Road. It's my turn this time, right? Du Zhongjun spoke. It is Brother Du's turn. Brother Du, please, Ao Fong said with a smile. Du Zhongjun was actually very sullen. According to the rules, it should be the loose immortal side, the loose devil side, the Dragon Tribe, the prehistoric demon race, and the chaotic Astral Ocean's 5 sides. Hua Yen was the first to act, and the second should be him. However, the Dragon Tribe side had 2 experts. That was why everyone had agreed to let Ao Fong bring up the rear, and as compensation, let Fong Tian be the second to set off. It was also because of the oath that he had made at that time that he was not worried about anyone snatching the treasure in advance, that Du Zhongjun had also agreed. It was just that Du Zhongjun was still somewhat sullen in his heart. Once he stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road, Du Zhongjun also set off with his fastest speed. Brother Qin Yu, this Blue Clouds Road is merely the second checkpoint. Only one person will be able to obtain the final treasure. That is why there will still be an even more dangerous obstacle in the final 9 heavens, Man Gone said to Qin Yu with a smile. Qin Yu's face showed slight worry. Haha, alright. You should also stop thinking about that obstacle. It is practically impossible for you to pass through this Blue Clouds Road, Man Gone said jokingly. Qin Yu's face showed a trace of worry in a timely manner. Alright, I'm just joking. Brother Qin Yu, although you are only at the Deshang stage, in terms of real attack power, I'm afraid that even the average heavenly immortals of level 2 and level 3 cannot compare to you. In addition to that highest grade immortal sword that Zhongju gave you, even heavenly immortals of level 5 and 6 would not dare to underestimate you. Your foundation is very solid, and your future achievements are limitless, Man Gone praised. Qin Yu only smiled modestly. Qin Yu did not know that at that moment, Man Gone was currently conversing with Ao Fong through a transmission talisman. Man Gone, Fong Tian has already successfully reached the 9 heavens. It is also not a difficult matter for me to enter. When that time comes, Fong Tian and I will join hands. I want to see how you will fight against us. Fong Tian is indeed slightly weaker than you. However, with the treasure that the Dragon Emperor gave him, you may not be able to defeat him, Ao Fong transmitted. Don't be complacent. There are 2 of you, but there is only 1 scroll. Even if you obtain the scroll, how will you distribute it? In terms of sharpness, Man Gong was not as good as Ao Fong. Moreover, Man Gong's patience was also not as good as Ao Feng's. Ao Fong could still smile while being insulted by others, but Man Gong would instead go mad with rage. Humph. Man Gong glanced at Ao Fong in the distance, and that glance contained a trace of viciousness. Oh, this Man Gong seems to be a little off with Ao Fong. Qin Yu noticed that glance. Meanwhile, at that moment, Du Zhongjun has also passed through the Blue Clouds Road. Ao Fong, Man Gong, and Zhongju received the news almost at the same time. Compared to that time with Hua Yan, when Fong Tian and Du Zhongjun passed through the Blue Clouds Road, there was not much of a commotion. It was obvious that they did not encounter any danger like Hua Yan. Brother Qin Yu, take care. If you are not confident, then do not attempt it. Since you have already reached the Deshang stage, it is safer to wait here until you ascend. When Man Gong left, he even gave a word of advice, and immediately walked towards the Blue Clouds Road with large strides. That was because it was now Man Gong's turn to enter the Blue Clouds Road. Zhongju, Ao Feng, I will take my leave first, haha. Man Gong was not worried in the slightest, and just like that, he stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road. After entering the Blue Clouds Road for a short while, Brother Ao Feng, Brother Man Gong has already arrived. I am also about to set off, Zhongju said with a smile, and immediately nodded towards Qin Yu, who was not far away, and immediately stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road. When Qin Yu saw how relaxed the 6 great leaders were, his heart was incomparably moved. Reverend Ming Shan and the others, those who entered, died. So many died, and only Yu Liang was lucky enough to succeed. And what about the 6 great leaders? Unless the unlucky Hua Yan, who had a very high difficulty passing because of Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's special care. However, he still passed in the end. Meanwhile, the others were very relaxed, and almost everyone passed through the Blue Clouds Road within the time it took to brew a cup of tea. In just a short moment, little brother Qin Yu, I am also about to set off. When I reach that side, I will send a message to inform you. Ao Feng greeted Qin Yu, and it was obvious that Zhongju had already successfully reached Ni Yang's realm. In terms of speed of passing, Zhongju seemed to be the fastest. Qin Yu smiled as he watched Ao Feng step onto the Blue Clouds Road. Only then did he let out a long sigh of relief. Ah, Qin Yu let out a long sigh of relief, and the smile on his face became brilliant. This is really torturous. Just now, I was worried that everyone who stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road would notice the white jade sculpture, worried that someone would carefully observe the white jade sculpture. Luckily, everyone's thoughts were on the opposite side of the 9 heavens. Qin Yu walked to the side of the white jade sculpture with ease, then reached into his long sleeve and removed the white jade ring on his right hand. There shouldn't be that secret technique, right? Qin Yu's heart suddenly jumped, and then he laughed at himself. Too sensitive. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang had already said that other than the scattered treasures cliff at the beginning, there were no other treasures. Moreover, it was hidden so well, adding that secret technique to it would be too much. Qin Yu immediately dripped a drop of blood onto the white jade ring. The white jade ring directly absorbed that drop of blood, and Qin Yu put the ring on his finger. However, the moment he put it on, the original Lord of Black Flame's ring actually automatically appeared, emitting rays of black light. And this white ring similarly emitted white light, and the 2 completely opposite lights actually started to intertwine. What's this? Qin Yu's heart jumped. These 2 rings, I have already dripped my blood to recognize them as the owner. This strange change shouldn't cause much harm to me, but the gravity domain and the heavenly fire domain must not be destroyed. Qin Yu still liked the two domains of the Lord of Black Flame's ring very much. In the time of 10 breaths, the two rays of light completely merged, and at the same time, a ring was put on Qin Yu's finger. This ring appeared to be surrounded by black and white. Similar to Tai Chi at the same time, a figure actually appeared in Qin Yu's mind. A proud and indistinct figure. This figure was extremely similar to the white jade sculpture, but no matter how carefully Qin Yu observed, he was unable to clearly see what the figure looked like. Lucky kid, you are already lucky enough to be able to obtain the Lord of Black Flame's ring in the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion. To be able to obtain the Lord of White Profound's ring in Ni Yang's realm is also extremely rare. You have obtained both rings, even I am envious of your luck. That indifferent voice contained a trace of disappointment. Qin Yu understood in his heart that this should be Immortal Emperor Ni Yang. The Lord of Black Flame's ring and the Lord of White Profound's ring were made by the Lord of Black Flame and the Lord of White Profound respectively, and are also their gifts to me. When the two are combined, it is a top-grade immortal equipment, Blazing Profound Ring. The Lord of Black Flame's ring has the Heavenly Fire domain and Gravity domain. The Lord of White Profound's ring has the Jade Smoke domain and Gravity domain. When the two are combined, there are 3 domains, Heavenly Fire domain, Jade Smoke domain, and Dual Gravity domain. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang explained. When the Blazing Profound Ring uses the Heavenly Fire domain and Jade Smoke domain at the same time, its power is extremely great. And the Dual Force domain is equivalent to the Gravity domain that you can originally use, its power doubled. Of course, these are all secondary. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's words made Qin Yu's heart move. If the power of the Blazing Profound Ring was secondary, then what was the most important thing? Lucky kid, if you are an emissary of the immortal, devil and demon realm, you should know the significance of the Blazing Profound Ring. If you are from the mortal realm, you probably wouldn't know. The Blazing Profound Ring. I can only tell you, before you reach the profound immortal realm, it's best not to let others know that you have the Blazing Profound Ring. Qin Yu understood a little. This Blazing Profound Ring seemed to be a very extraordinary treasure. Qin Yu understood the crime of possessing a treasure. Your luck is really good. If I had even a fraction of your luck, I wouldn't have fallen to this point. Destiny makes fools of people. Destiny makes fools of people. That voice was a little disappointed, and then the figure in his mind disappeared. Luck again. Why is this Immortal Emperor Ni Yang so unlucky? Qin Yu was puzzled. Qin Yu flipped his hand and took out a transmission talisman. Qin Yu, I have reached the 9th heavenly layer, you can go now. Ao Feng's transmission had already arrived. Chapter 297. Blue Clouds Road? No hurry. Qin Yu wasn't in a hurry to step onto the Blue Clouds Road. Ni Yang's realm was filled with danger. No matter what, he had to at least understand the power of his weapons. As for this Blazing Profound Ring, he naturally had to understand it. Heavenly Fire domain, Jade Smoke domain, Dual Force domain. Let's see the effect. Qin Yu's heart moved. He first used the Heavenly Fire domain. Qin Yu's surroundings were immediately filled with heavenly fire. The area of heavenly fire was relatively large. With Qin Yu as the center, the area of 50 meters was filled with heavenly fire. Compared to the original Lord of Black Flame's ring, its power didn't change much. Qin Yu judged in his heart. Immediately, Qin Yu withdrew the Heavenly Fire domain. At the same time, he activated the Jade Smoke domain. Fire, there were Heavenly Fire and Blue Heavenly Fire. And this cold air was also divided into Jade Smoke Cold Air and Weeping Gold Cold Air. Jade Smoke Cold Air and Heavenly Fire were comparable in power. It was just that one was extremely hot and the other was extremely cold. Qin Yu's surroundings were instantly filled with jade color. The area was so wide that it was almost the same as the Heavenly Fire domain. I remember Immortal Emperor Ni Yang once said that the combination of the Heavenly Fire Domain and Jade Smoke Domain would have an extremely powerful power. Qin Yu pondered for a moment. He immediately understood the principle. Extreme heat and extreme cold. The two extremes instantly changed. Even an ordinary low-grade immortal sword would instantly shatter. The rapid change of extreme heat and extreme cold would definitely be stronger than just the Heavenly Fire Domain and Jade Smoke Domain. Qin Yu closed his eyes. Numerous methods of using the Heavenly Fire Domain and Jade Smoke Domain appeared in his mind. Qin Yu's surroundings were instantly filled with boundless heavenly fire. But in the blink of an eye, the heavenly fire completely disappeared. The boundless jade smoke cold air covered the original area. The extreme cold and extreme heat caused the air to vibrate violently. After a while, the boundless jade smoke cold air and the boundless purple heavenly fire actually appeared at the same time. But if one looked carefully, one would realize that there was an extremely small distance between each jade smoke cold air and the purple heavenly fire. Of course, the jade smoke cold air and the purple heavenly fire couldn't touch. Once they touched, they would probably attack each other and waste of energy. My control is still not enough. Just now, the jade smoke cold air and the heavenly flame have already clashed more than 10 times. Qin Yu opened his eyes. Clearly, he was not satisfied with the control he had displayed earlier. However, Qin Yu was more satisfied with the combination of the jade smoke cold air and the purple heavenly fire. I'm quite familiar with the jade smoke domain and the heavenly fire domain. The power of this dual gravity domain should have doubled, right? Qin Yu controlled the blazing profound ring in his mind. Instantly, the gravity domain covered the area. However, as the controller of the double gravity domain, Qin Yu could not feel the double gravity domain at all. But when Qin Yu sensed the strange energy of the dual gravity domain, he had a feeling that the strange energy of the dual gravity domain was indeed much stronger than before. I can understand the heavenly flame domain and the jade smoke domain. However, I do not know how this dual gravity domain was created. This formation array is truly extremely profound. As the master, Qin Yu could barely sense the energy of the dual gravity domain. But this kind of energy was too strange. Controlling gravity? It was indeed very special. Huff, everything is ready. I'm going to try this Blue Clouds Road and see exactly what sort of extraordinary place this Blue Clouds Road has. Qin Yu took a deep breath and then stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road with a smile. The boundless Blue Clouds Road led directly to the 9 heavens. Under the cover of the endless blue clouds, Qin Yu's figure disappeared into the Blue Clouds Road. Times the Blue Clouds Road was actually a jade bridge that was similar to blue jade. Qin Yu walked on this bridge and clearly felt an extremely strong pressure covering his body. Clearly, his speed was restricted. The pressure is not that great. Right now, my speed is probably only about half of what it used to be. Qin Yu made a judgment in his heart. Qin Yu's figure was graceful as he continued to advance towards the 9 heavens. Brat, stop. A deep voice sounded, and Qin Yu's entire person was shocked. There's actually someone? A tall and sturdy large man appeared in front of Qin Yu. There was a trace of disdain on his face, and he secretly said in his heart, I never thought that even a small character who had just reached the Dashang stage would be able to enter Ni Yang's realm and make me suppress my power to the Dashang stage to fight with you. That's really unpleasant. If I wasn't limited by my oath to Ni Yang, I really wouldn't want to fight. Fighting with a little fellow who hasn't even reached the heavenly immortal stage, if my old brothers were to find out, it would really be embarrassing. When Qin Yu saw that large man standing in front of him, his figure flashed and wanted to go around him. However, that large man also moved and continued to block in front of Qin Yu. Who are you? Why are you obstructing me? Qin Yu asked in a reproachful manner. At the same time, Qin Yu also carefully observed that large man in front of him. The tall and sturdy large man's eyebrows were extremely thick and black, and his eyes were also bright and full of expression. The domineering aura that naturally emitted from his body made Qin Yu's heart tremble. This fellow's power is definitely stronger than Man Gone. Just the aura that was emitted was enough to make Qin Yu's mind tremble. How could Qin Yu not be surprised? So much so that Qin Yu believed that even if he used the sword Immortal Puppet, he might not necessarily be able to win. The tall and sturdy large man smiled faintly and said, "You don't need to care too much about who I am. At least, you still don't have the qualifications to know right now. You only need to remember. If you want to pass through this Blue Clouds Road, you must defeat me. Of course, even if you don't defeat me, as long as you pass through the Blue Clouds Road, I will also automatically stop." Qin Yu nodded, and immediately smiled faintly and said, "This one knows his own limits. If I were to fight with Senior, I reckon that there would be no hope at all." For the time being, Qin Yu still did not want to take out the sword Immortal Puppet. "Don't worry, brat. My power will only be suppressed to the Deshang stage. Although my power will be suppressed to the Deshang stage, my experience, moves, and so on are not something you can imagine," the tall and sturdy large man said confidently. Qin Yu muttered to himself for a moment and asked, "Those few people just now all successfully passed through the Blue Clouds Road. In my opinion, those few people should not be as good as Senior. Could it be that Senior's experience and moves are not as good as theirs?" When the tall and sturdy large man heard this, he frowned. "Although those few people's strength is not bad, how could they be my match? It's just that when dealing with those few fellows, my power will be suppressed to the same level as theirs, which is about the level of a first-level Demon King. With the strength of a first-level Demon King, wanting to break through their top-grade demon armor is indeed a bit difficult," the tall and sturdy large man said helplessly. Qin Yu understood in his heart. As it turned out, Du Zhongjun, Fong Tian, and the others all relied on the defense of their top-grade immortal armor, demon armor, to pass through. When those few fellows saw me, they all used words to mock me. They knew that I would suppress my power to the same level as theirs, so they all relied on their armor to quickly escape. No matter how much I tried to stop them, they still managed to escape. The tall and sturdy large man was a bit angry. If not for the oath, I would have already smashed their armor to pieces with one punch. How could I allow them to be so arrogant? Qin Yu was shocked. Smashing a top-grade immortal armor with one punch? What kind of level was that? Of course, this also depended on who was wearing the top-grade immortal armor. When Du Zhongjun, Hua Yan, and the others wore the top-grade immortal armor, their immortal elemental energy, demonic elemental energy, ran through it. Of course, their defensive power could not compare to that of a mystic immortal, Devil Emperor, wearing a top-grade immortal armor. All right, don't waste time. I will suppress my power to the Deshang stage. However, let me tell you, my defense cannot be weakened. My skin is naturally thick. There is no way. The tall and sturdy large man had a helpless look. Qin Yu laughed bitterly in his heart. A person who dared to say that he could smash a top-grade immortal armor with one punch, how strong would his defense be? It was easy to guess. He reckoned that even his top-grade immortal sword would not be able to harm him. "Get ready, I am about to make my move." The tall and sturdy large man grinned, then threw a very simple punch towards Qin Yu. This punch smashed towards Qin Yu in a straight line. However, for some unknown reason, Qin Yu felt that the space around him had been locked down. It was very difficult for him to move even if he wanted to. This simple punch seemed to be impossible to dodge. Although his power was suppressed to the Deshang stage, the tall and sturdy large man's experience and understanding of the heavenly Tao far surpassed Qin Yu. The tall and sturdy large man sighed in his heart. After all, his opponent was too weak. However, the tall and sturdy large man only felt a sudden gravitational force attached to his entire body. The delicate balance he had just formed was also broken. Qin Yu's figure flashed and dodged the punch. No matter how wonderful your moves are, the more exquisite your moves are, the more likely it is that a slight mistake will result in a huge difference in power. Under the sudden appearance of the gravitational field, how can you maintain the exquisiteness of your moves? Qin Yu felt relaxed in his heart. A simple, double gravitational field easily broke this move. Haha, as expected of someone who can enter Ni Yang's realm. Even a Deshang stage little guy cannot be underestimated. Controlling gravity, you brat must have obtained the blazing profound ring. The tall and sturdy large man said with a smile. Qin Yu was stunned. Blazing profound ring? This large man in front of him actually revealed his secret in an instant. However, after a while, Qin Yu felt relieved. Since this tall and sturdy large man became the gatekeeper of Ni Yang's realm, he definitely had some relationship with immortal Emperor Ni Yang. It was not strange for him to know about the blazing profound ring. The blazing profound ring. When I asked Ni Yang to play with it, he was unwilling. After he died, he instead scattered all these treasures. The tall and sturdy large man muttered, "All right, continue fighting. As long as you do not step out of the Blue Clouds Road, the battle will not end." If he did not step out of the Blue Clouds Road, the battle would not end. When Qin Yu heard this, he immediately hurried on his way. "Senior, you must remember that your power must be suppressed to the Deshang stage." While escaping for his life, Qin Yu still shouted loudly. The tall and sturdy large man's face turned bitter. He could only shake his body and continuously chase after him. Originally, with his power, he could catch up to Qin Yu with just a move of his feet. However, he was limited to only using the power of the Deshang stage, so his speed was naturally limited. No matter how exquisite the tall and sturdy large man's movement technique was, he could barely catch up to Qin Yu. However, when he got close to Qin Yu, the double gravitational field would also greatly reduce the tall and sturdy large man's speed. It's really easy to escape like this. Qin Yu felt relaxed in his heart. Now, the double gravitational field had already reached an astonishing level. Once the tall and sturdy large man entered this field, it was as if his body was being pressed down by a mountain. If the tall and sturdy large man used all his power, this bit of gravity would be nothing. However, he had to keep his oath and could only use the same amount of power. With the power of the Deshang stage, if he wanted to catch up to Qin Yu after resisting such gravity, it would be a dream. After all, Qin Yu was an expert in speed. At this moment, Qin Yu somewhat understood the difficulty of the Blue Clouds Road. Every person who entered the Blue Clouds Road would face this tall and sturdy large man as their enemy. This tall and sturdy large man must limit his power to the level of the challenger's power. However, they would fight with each other. Unless they passed through the Blue Clouds Road, the battle would not end. With the tall and sturdy large man's experience and moves, even if their power was equal, Reverend Ming Shan, even the Dragon Clan's elder Yen Shan, Kong Chao, and the others had all died. Later on, Yu Liang had most likely transformed into a heavenly rat and escaped with his life by relying on his speed and agility. Moreover, as a high-level divine beast, the battle power that the heavenly rat could display was also extremely strong. As for the 6 great experts that came later, they all had top-grade immortal equipment battle armors to protect themselves. Moreover, each one of them was originally an elite figure. Successfully passing through was not a problem. If I think it's so easy to pass through, I would really lose too much face. The tall and sturdy large man's fist flashed and a golden glove unexpectedly appeared on his fist. Although the power is limited to the Deshang stage, there is no restriction on the weapon. The tall and sturdy large man talked to himself and then slowly punched forward 3 times in succession. Although it looked slow, in fact, in the blink of an eye, 3 visible golden fist shadows enveloped Qin Yu's entire body. Those 3 golden fist shadows had yet to touch Qin Yu's body, but Qin Yu could already feel the thick pressure. This tall and sturdy large man, why is he trying so hard? Qin Yu felt sullen in his heart. At the same time, Qin Yu clenched his teeth. He simply did not care about the fist shadows and rushed towards the end of the Blue Clouds Road at an even faster speed. Suicide. The tall and sturdy large man was slightly stunned. Of course, he himself knew the power of his move. Moreover, he also knew that the opponent was a Deshang stage expert. To a Deshang stage expert, the body was still extremely important. Once the body was damaged, it was estimated that he could only cultivate as a loose cultivator. Qin Yu's body flashed continuously. At the same time, the three golden fist shadows bombarded Qin Yu's body one after another. What a tough body. The body of a Dashang stage expert is actually so tough. What the hell? What kind of cultivation technique is this? The tall and sturdy large man finally witnessed the toughness of Qin Yu's body. The three fist shadows that he sent out with his weapon actually only injured a part of Qin Yu's body. He could imagine the toughness of Qin Yu's body. However, the next scene made the tall and sturdy large man dumbfounded. Qin Yu's injuries were actually completely healed in the blink of an eye. "Senior, thank you for showing mercy." Qin Yu's voice sounded, and he had already rushed out of the Blue Clouds Road. Relying on his amazing recovery ability, Qin Yu actually used his body to withstand the three fist shadows. Although the attack was extremely powerful, it was limited to the tall and sturdy large man only using the strength of a Dashang stage expert. The attack power was limited. Qin Yu still dared to resist. Showing mercy? The tall and sturdy large man's expression stiffened. Soon after, he laughed. This kid, to be able to obtain the Lord of Black Flame's ring and the Lord of White Profound's ring, his luck is really not bad. Back then, Enai Yang even asked me to show mercy to the people who obtained the ring of Blazing Profound when I met them. However, this time, I didn't show mercy. The tall and sturdy large man let out a long sigh. There's no one at the Blue Clouds Road. My mission is also completed. How many years has it been? It's also time for those old brothers of ours to be liberated. The tall and sturdy large man's figure moved and actually disappeared into thin air. Teleportation? Wasn't teleportation impossible in Enai Yang's realm? However, no one saw this scene, so naturally, no one would have such a question. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.